Do that without the best and the brightest in the field. That's why right now, GS Construction is looking to hire experienced top men, pipe layers, and operators who can step in and hit the ground running. With a people-first mentality, career growth, and comprehensive benefits, why would you want to work anywhere else? To apply, visit gsconstruction.ca.
Do you sit around at work listening to sports radio all day? That's right, my friend. There's no shame in it. It's the good life. And we're not here to snitch. Say, if your company advertised on Sports 1440, you could be the one listening for your company's ad every day. Now you've got an excuse to listen to Sports 1440 all day. It's part of the job. Sounds like someone's getting a promotion. Email Gregor at sports1440.ca and let's get to work for you.
This year, instead of a short winter getaway from the cold, what if you took a permanent winter getaway from your hair loss? Hi, I'm Dr. Vance Elliott, inviting you to come plan your winter transformation. I've helped thousands of Edmonton men and women get their hair and their confidence back. Many of them preferred the winter. Cooler temperatures are great for recovery, and winter hats can keep everything discreet. Trips are nice, but this winter, choose to invest in your vessel. Book a free consultation today at drvanceelliott.com.
Who's going where and for who? We've got your all-day coverage on Edmonton's only 24-hour sports station, Sports 1440.
Welcome to Fantasy Frenzy and the trade deadline coverage on Sports 1440. We're going all day long. Exciting times. Will the Oilers add today? Stan Bowman said no, but you know that GM's fib. What could they be looking for? Well, apparently Kevin Weeks thinks that some goaltending is in play. Maybe not Edmonton. And AJ Greer rumors and so much more. We're going to cover that. There's a lot of people in the room. I'm going to try to pronounce their names correctly at the beginning, and Lord knows how it'll go after that. So we've got Brandon, Duke of Delburn, over to my left. We have Connor Halley, who I've known for at least 20 years. He doesn't want to talk about it, but I have. We've got Josh Fenwick, and we have young Mackenzie in the corner there. Have I covered everybody? Have I missed anybody? We've got Speck coming up at 11:40, Strutty at 1:20, and ready to roll.
That's it, yeah.
All right.
I think Declan will be in as well.
Okay. All right, we'll let him in the door. So whenever I listen, I don't know why, but something comes over me, and I want beef jerky.
Mm-hmm.
Your show, actually, when I see you sometimes, I think beef jerky. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that happens. The show is brought to you by Wilhauk Beef Jerky, Alberta's best beef jerky online, wilhaukbeefjerky.com. Only available in the Duke. That's probably why you crave it. Probably. Very good stuff. I enjoy it. I don't get it all the time, but I absolutely love it. And when I take it home, my kids eat it. And I'm not a fan of that, but what are you going to do? It's a long trek for you, living in the...
Well, it is a little bit. You know, sometimes I take the Corvette out. I don't own a Corvette.
You leave the gold streets of St. Albert.
Yeah. All right, our trade deadline coverage, by the way, powered by Booster Juice. Trade in that hunger for great tasting wraps and paninis and see ya bowls at Booster Juice today. Say hi to Dale when you're there. Maybe get a free coupon. He hands those out, apparently. So, look, here's this deal. Deadline deals are coming down. We don't anticipate specifically a trade by the Edmonton Oilers, but I've been listening to Jason Gregor and following Jason on Twitter, and he keeps saying, well, they might as well make a move, maybe AJ Greer. And then Kevin Weeks comes along with this tweet of his that includes Connor Ingram and then a plethora of other goaltenders across the league. And the Oilers apparently are doing their due diligence. Basically, it's the fog of trade that we're seeing today and this morning. I was especially interested in the Corey Perry deal, a second-round pick. My first thought is, my goodness, Oilers could have gotten him for a second-round pick, but that's not true. LA wouldn't trade him here. And they needed a center more, and they got that in Dickinson from the Chicago Blackhawks. So as we begin our coverage, Not that Carius wasn't covering this. I listened to him driving into work, and earlier today he was wall to wall talking about the trade deadline. But where are we? I'll start with you, Duke. Where are you in terms of the Oilers? Do you think they're going to be quiet, or do you think there's a possibility we see some activity from Edmonton today?
Tide, I think, I don't know how a bigger deal falls into place for the Oilers here. Like the fan base, and we even chatted about it with Spec this morning, saying like, hey, we'd love to see them do something else. And shoring up the goaltending certainly seems as the kind of the last big question mark for this roster. But if you have a name like Bobrovsky, if you have a name like Binnington, there are ways to make the money work, but it gets a little on the complicated side. And then also, well, what teams are going to do Jari for Bobrovsky 1-for-1 at 50% retained, or Jari for Binnington with a little bit of money held back to make things work? However it does, are you adding in more sweeteners just to make more moves for the sake of doing so? We know the goaltending hasn't been up to snuff, but is being committed to continuing to overhaul this roster at this stage, trying to do too much? That's where I'm at. If I'm guessing, and it's purely guessing, I could see maybe another fringe type move, a depth player, bottom six, middle six forward at best, maybe, and that might be it for me if I was trying to predict Stan Bowman's movements for the rest of the day.
Connor, you feel the same way?
Yeah, I do. I mean, we saw yesterday Puckpedia putting it out there that the Oilers with a couple moves could get up to $2.2 million in cap space, just over. You look at some of these goalies, even with money retained, it'd be very tough to do unless you're sending another body out. And, would it be Tristan Jarry in that case? Kevin Weeks didn't put that name out there. He put Ingram, who's not on the biggest salary, of course. So I'd love to see it. And it's funny to see, some of these names, like you got Bobrovsky on one end, who's going to be UFA, but so much money proven. And then Wallstedt, young, but really good, bright future. Like if you could bring him in,
I agree.
The position is settled for the next decade. Yeah. I don't know how they do it. And I don't know why Minnesota would do it. For me, looking at how good he's been, he's under contract, he's cheap. Why not keep him around unless he wants out? But the names that were dropped by Kevin Weeks 3 hours ago, good for discussion. I don't know how realistic it is, though.
It's true. And I think that Minnesota would trade him, but it's going to have to be a legitimate, bona fide, under control, top center.
Yeah.
And the Oilers, they've got great centers.
You've got some of those, but are they ones the Oilers are interested in giving away at this point in time? I would say no.
The one thing I've worried about all week, and I've written about all week, is my worry is Matt Savoy, because guys, he's been just playing lights out. He's really turned a corner here. You can see he's no longer a rookie, and now he's contributing. And putting him on the Draisaitl line was a stroke of genius. So the question I have is, even if the Oilers were able to make the money work for a Bobrovsky, Howard, I don't think gets it done. I think Savoy might be a piece. Ingram, obviously. But, I mean, Henrique's not moving. His no movement clause. Unless there's something out there that we don't know about, then it just seems like a bridge too far.
I agree with you. Like, it'd be crazy for it to happen. $10 million cap it. Like, just making that money work just seems almost impossible.
And if it's like, let's focus on Bobrovsky for a moment, as that seems to be the most tangible, real upgrade with his experience and pedigree. His expiring contract, do you see him sticking around in Edmonton beyond the season? I'd have a really hard time seeing that. So now all of a sudden you're talking about, all right, so you still need to go back and find another goalie moving forward. Plus you've given up X, Y, and Z assets to get him here for, hey, flags fly forever. I'll never question that. But that's still a big if when you're talking about the current play of the Oilers, regardless of goaltending.
And Russians like to play on the Eastern Seaboard. They just do. And they prefer New York. And Edmonton gets the Swedes and the Finns. That's how it basically works.
They feel more comfortable, more familiar.
Yeah, right.
Except Vasily Podkolzin.
Well, I think he's an honorary Finn, to be honest with you. Josh, are you excited about your Calgary Flames? Are they doing really terrifically well for you in the trade market?
Not particularly. So obviously what was coming out yesterday and even early this morning surrounding Nazem Kadri is that the Flames do not want to retain. And if people are going to trade for Nazem Kadri, then they expect retention coming back. And so the Flames are in a very enviable position cap-wise. They have a lot of young guys, and especially if you ship out Kadri, like I don't see retaining him as a big deal, especially like, hey, maybe they don't retain 50. Maybe they're like, yeah, we'll retain 25%.
Yeah.
And on the Coleman front, I think Dreger is the one that said yesterday he sees a trade for Coleman being 40-60, 60 being that he stays. So I'm just really Conroy, comes around in the 11th hour here and just fires off two trades, and I don't have to worry about this anymore, because I think I'll be relatively upset if both Coleman and Kadri are around when the trade deadline closes, if we still have one, I think I could live with that. But I expect one guy gone.
You and Mackenzie are my designated folks who, when you see a trade, just interrupt us, okay? Would you do that, Josh?
Yeah. And Mackenzie, I'm sure, heard that message too. Yeah. She might be more dialed in than I am.
I think Mackenzie would probably do it in a more casual way. You'll just jump right in.
Very much so, yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, we were talking about if you don't want to retain, drink water. That's the way. Cut back on your salt. That's the best way to do it. When I saw the Perry deal, I really thought, man, Edmonton could use that guy. But then I remembered Perry when the puck is turned over in the offensive zone and he's got to haul ass back. Dickinson, who's the main forward piece that the Oilers have picked up so far, he's in the 63rd percentile in foot speed. He can penalty kill. He's a tough guy. He doesn't score as much as he did a couple of years ago, but even with all of that, he played almost 50% of his minutes against the league competition. And that's at 5-on-5. And that means that if they choose to do, like at home, if there's a way for them to put the Dickinson line up against the other team's best, that will give some clean air to McDavid and or Draisaitl. The problem is Chris Knobloch doesn't really line match. And so when we look at this team tonight, one of the things I don't want to watch for is whether or not they use Dickinson in a tough minutes role, whether he's out there when the Aho line is out or the Stahl line is out, or if he's facing, the Slavin pairing and they're trying to get some clean air from McDavid. If they haven't really done that, and they haven't needed to do that because McDavid floats all boats and he can run over everybody. He's just that good. But as he gets closer to 30, I think it might be an idea to try out the idea. Remember the old third line? How many here remember the Marchand, Greer, Morrow line? Do you guys remember that? Connor remembers. Because they were almost like the number one line, right? They'd go out against, whoever the hell it was, and they'd play against them, and he did a hell of a job.
Never score.
No. Well, Marchand had breakaway after breakaway.
Greer might pop his shoulder back into place if he had to, but not scoring goals. But yeah, no. I agree with you. That was a great line. Just quickly, Spec putting it out there that Matthias Janmark had shoulder surgery.
Okay.
Surgery for sure, suspected shoulder, ready for next fall.
Shoulder surgery is one of those tough things to say together.
Yeah. Right? I struggled.
Well, everybody does. There should be like a shoulder procedure or something like that. Staub Boffer says, thoughts on McCain tied? Well, I think he'd be a really good get, but I mean, at this point, I think somebody pretty good is going to have to be like on the bench, depending upon how they use, Doc or how the fourth line looks. But when Lazar gets back, they're going to have one too many players, probably. They can send out Szymanski. But for me, how many more players do you need up front? And I know that people are mad at Frederick, but Frederick's played well the last few games. And I think that he's going to be he might even end up on the Dickinson line. How do we feel about the Dickinson line? Who do you expect to see on that line?
Well, I will say I'm very fired up to see him. Just, from what we've seen, I don't know if you saw that video of those two, he and McDavid going at it. No. He was just holding McDavid. I'm like, okay, take the penalty. But occasionally I think that's worth it. Since they've come back from the Olympic break, I haven't really hated seeing, Trent Fredericks play out there. Do you put him on fourth line?
I see it as like you said, Lowetide, almost like a third line shutdown option, a guy that never cheats the game and can play physical. Vasily Podkolzin, who, despite all of his offensive shortcomings, his finishing ability at times, does so many things well out there, right? And he's a player I think most Oilers fans and those of us that watch the team game to game can really appreciate. So you pair him up with, and then this way that Trent Frederick, it's a very small sample size and our bar has dropped so low in evaluating him. He has played better coming out of the Olympic break. And so maybe is that where you start with, or you want a little bit more speed, a little more foot speed to complement those other two guys? Do you put Kasperi Kapanen in there, another player that's not shy from a physicality perspective, and that frees up your second line of a top six of actual skill players to complement Leon Draisaitl in the form of Roslovic and Matthew Savoy? That's where my mind immediately goes to come playoff time. But that bottom six, I think any jumble combination of guys will probably work depending on maybe matchups and then how you want to deploy them.
Jari's getting the start tonight.
Confirmed.
No.
Confirmed. Yeah.
Well, they've just been loose as a Neil Young in the Crazy Horse at the Fillmore in 1970. That defense and the goaltending has really suffered. Ben Pope, by the way, from the Chicago Sun-Times, has a quote from Andrew Mangiapane on joining the Blackhawks. I quote Mangiapane. He says, "It was a little tough sledding there in Edmonton. I'm happy to get out and have a nice restart and be with a good organization here." So, I mean, it's not quite Troy Stetcher, but I mean, playing for Edmonton is I think that it would be, he's played in some pretty soft media markets, Calgary. So Mangiapane probably wasn't used to the pressure and the heat that you'd get in a city like Edmonton.
Well, team with Stanley Cup aspirations, right?
Right.
The Flames, all due respect.
Playoffs expected.
He might be on the number one line there with the players that they've been moving out in Chicago.
Can you imagine if he just sets the world on fire with Bedard?
Ride shotgun for the next 10 years.
Oh my God. Hockey is so cruel. The thing that I see right now for the Edmonton Oilers, I think they're checking everything, but the one reason why you might bring in a Greer is you want to light a fire under everybody's ass, and you have one, you have enough. I think you have enough rugged players, but if you got a McMahon or a Greer, then there would be a competition. The idea isn't just to be rugged. The idea is to be that way without taking unnecessary penalties and be contributing on a line that outscores the opposition. That's the goal. And remember that Vegas line with Waugh and who else was on that Vegas line the year they won the Stanley Cup? It was a fourth line, and they were just treacherous. You could not play.
Was Colasar there yet at that point?
It was Colasar, or before him, there was another guy. The memory, she leaves you. But I that line, if you're looking for that kind of line, maybe you want one more piece, don't know. But we'll find out as the time rolls along. Let you know, we have Spec coming up at 11:40. Struddy's going to pop by at 1:20. We have Declan strolling in here. Now, when Declan strolls in, where does he do? We stand him up against the wall? Like,
He'll probably replace me.
Okay.
He has to wait till noon.
Yeah.
Okay. Because if we stuck some Velcro on his shirt, we could probably just slide him up on the wall.
Did you know it was his birthday yesterday?
I did. He told us on the air right at the last break because we were too stupid to pick up that his girlfriend had texted in. I blame Josh.
I didn't.
She was a first-time texter.
I didn't know until later that I did text Declan like at the 11th hour last night to wish him a happy birthday, and then that digressed into us reflecting on the fact that I'm just on the far side of 30. He's approaching his 30th birthday, turning 29 yesterday, and our youth is fleeting.
Yeah, it's tough. I really feel bad for you. He goes from Jack Roslovic to Leon Draisaitl. That's got to be a move up, right? Like in terms of jersey number, 28 to 29. I like that for
29
him.
is a far superior number than
Totally,
28.
right?
In hockey.
He's having a Hall of Fame year starting now, I think.
Yeah.
29 was Ken Dryden when I was a kid. I hated Ken Dryden.
Felix Potvin for me.
I always liked Potvin. He was a good
great.
goalie, right?
Mike Vernon, Marc-Andre Fleury.
Good ones too. More of your generation. But I'm like, as a kid.
Fleury for sure is like what I immediately associate with.
28 though in football, Marshall Falk. That's a good one.
Yeah, that is a good one.
Hockey, yeah.
So we're in Fantasy Frenzy. I know we're doing deadline stuff, but just really quickly before we take a break, who should the Eagles draft in the first round? Any thoughts?
Best player available.
Okay, but like
they've had a good track record of doing that for getting need.
They work on the lines. I know that.
They're going to get someone who's got a little bit of a character concern and should be a top 10 pick and slides to the Eagles.
That's about right. Yeah, and then they win a Super Bowl and the character concerns show up.
Yeah,
maybe a wide receiver to replace AJ Brown.
Jeez, that how did that not work? All right, it's 11:17. This is trade deadline coverage on Sports 1440 and YouTube.
Tomorrow at Rogers Place, celebrate orange plastic likely to go through your washing machine. Don't miss the first ever Edmonton Oil Kings Hot Wheels game. Be there as your Oil Kings crash and bash up the Medicine Hat Tigers. There will be Hot Wheel car giveaways for the kids and more adrenaline-fueled fun. And Calmont Kids food combos are $10 or less. The value is monster truck sized. The Edmonton Oil Kings Hot Wheels game versus Medicine Hat, 7 p.m. tomorrow. Great seats at Rogers Place start at only $20 at oilkings.ca.
Okay, how about you give us your star winger for a bag of pucks? What if I throw in some Will Hawk beef jerky? yourself a trade.
With Wilhock Beef Jerky on their side, the Alberta teams definitely have an unfair advantage this trade deadline. Pick up some today and use it for trade leverage in your fantasy league.
No way, man. It's way too good.
Wilhock Beef Jerky, only available in Leduc. Get yours today because you don't win trades with salad.
Action Electrical's projects team takes the field, folks, ready to execute the entire play for new commercial builds.
Absolutely. They're masters of design build, sketching strategy from initial blueprints to core electrical infrastructure. The team never misses on complex projects.
Known for handling big league constructions and major renovations, ensuring flawless execution, hire the Action Electrical team to bring home a win for your project. Visit actionelectrical.net.
When my husband and I said until death do us part, I never expected to find myself at the doorstep of divorce. I was facing an uncertain financial future, expensive lawyer bills, and most importantly, I was concerned for the well-being of my kids. My spouse and I turned to Fairway Divorce Solutions for help. Fairway walked us through a step-by-step process, allowing us to develop a clear roadmap to resolve financial concerns and provide a proactive co-parenting strategy. It helped us avoid chaos and courtrooms.
For a no-cost consultation, visit fairwaydivorce.com.
No fluff, no fillers, just pure entertainment. Sports 1440 brings the heat with bold opinions, big personalities, and Edmonton's fiercest fans. This is your turf. This is Edmonton's sports leader, Sports 1440.
For over 60 years, the folks at Diablo Boots have been selling the best Canadian-made boots. Handcrafted in Winnipeg, Canada West makes the best quality cowboy, biker, and work boots for Diablo Boots with replaceable soles and heels. Why buy cheaper quality like Area Adjusted and Red Wing made in China when Canadian-made is better? Support Canada's workers and Diablo Boots for the best boots. So save on boots by Save On Foods. That's Diablo Boots, 3340 Gateway Boulevard on the east side of Save On Foods. Canada West and Diablo Boots, the two best names in the boots business.
Why pay dealership prices when you can get the same quality for less? Hi, it's Lisa, and here at Ed's Auto Salvage, we've been Alberta's trusted source for used auto parts for nearly 50 years. From engines to mirrors, transmissions to tires, we've got it all at prices guaranteed to keep your wallet happy. Shop local, shop smart. Shop Ed's Auto Salvage in Westlock. Be sure to visit us online at edsautosalvage.com and get your vehicle back on the road for less.
Pack your bag and call your family. It's Trade Day. Listen all day, uninterrupted, to Edmonton's only 24-hour sports station, Sports 1440.
It's Sports 1440. We're live on YouTube and 1440 AM. We are Fantasy Frenzy Slide Trade Deadline coverage until noon, and then we slide into more fantasy or trade deadline coverage. Nothing yet. The Corey Perry deal, second round pick from LA sends Perry to Tampa Bay, where I think that ensures that Perry will lose in the final with Tampa Bay this year. He seems to be the bridesmaid every year. So while we were chatting in the break, I warned everybody I was going to ask this question. Let's say the Oilers make one deal. We know what's out there and available. If they could only make one deal, what player would you like to come in, or type of player, but I'd prefer a name. We'll begin with you, Brandon.
It's a bit of a cop-out because this is a name that's been tied to the Oilers going back, forget weeks and months, it seems like at this point. And it's Bobby McMahon out of Toronto, right? This is a guy that can score. He can kind of provide different elements up and down your lineup. The price tag moving forward, if they were to bring him back, is maybe the troubling part of it. Cost of acquisition doesn't seem like it would be that high relative to maybe some of the other more flashy, splashy names that are out there. And listen, how can you not root for the feel-good story of the hometown kid from Elton Wainwright, played his junior hockey in Bonnyville. So that's the name that I would maybe most be excited to see here in the final hours before deadline rolls in.
That's a good name.
I guess I have a couple, but one, and it wouldn't cost you much. He's got Stanley Cup Finals experience. Oilers fans don't like him right now, but AJ Greer out of the Panthers, I think
it's a good name, and
he's cheap, fourth line.
The only worry I have is if he takes penalties, will Knobloch keep playing him? Because I think you have to keep playing him.
Yeah, I mean, he's the guy you can. Well, Oilers fans saw it; they know it, and a lot of fans saw what he did after on the parade. They don't like that. I will remind you: you didn't like Corey Perry, you didn't like Cassian,
Ken Linsman.
There's a lot of guys you didn't like, and then they put on the blue and orange, and like, you know what? He's not so bad. So
like that guy, yeah.
I think for a cheap option, it's maybe more realistic than my first thought. Go with him.
And what's your second option?
Well, the first one I thought is Binnington. But
I mean, but here's the thing. We just saw him play really well. Now, they didn't win, but I don't blame Binnington for that. Makar.
He won me over.
Yeah.
Duke asked me right after, who's like, would you want him? And I was like, yeah. Big game. He steps up. He's calm, cool, collected.
Look, like the hockey gods owe the Oilers a Stanley Cup, and it'll be on the back of a hot goaltender. So I get it. I understand it. What about you? Keeping in mind that we're already looking at you with a jaundiced eye and a raised Spockian eyebrow, in the words of Dave Jameson.
Well, yeah, you said I can't say Stuart Skinner, which is too bad because that was super. But I'm with Connor, actually. I think Binger, if there was one move to make, I think you could convince the Blues to take on Jari's contract. I think you could.
Yeah, and I mean that's a more likely deal than Bobrovsky. We agree, right?
I agree. Yeah. Bobrovsky's he's what is it? $2 million more expensive or something like that.
Yeah. All right, Mackenzie, what's your name?
I don't know. I'm gonna go like pretty unrealistic here, and AJ Greer and Bobrovsky with half of it retained. Jari goes, and just because I solely still do not trust Jordan Binnington like at all.
In that trade, do you ship Ike Howard back to the state of Florida?
No.
Well, this is
what else? What are you
giving up?
I'm not.
What are they giving?
I don't really know. I don't think that.
Well, they consider a bag of CCM pucks.
That was not the question. It was who
about
do you want?
Lowetide did not ask for a trade proposal. He just said a name.
That's true. That's absolutely true. I like Bobby McMahon. What I like is, I know he's on a heater this year, and maybe he'll never do this again. But remember Curtis Glencross? Remember when he came here?
Mm-hmm.
And they blew it on the contract. He ended up going to Calgary. Damn it. But, he just was, and that's what the Oilers need that. They need to, whoever they get, and it could be Dickinson, it could be any of the others that they've acquired, but they just need to catch lightning in a bottle. I mean, that's it, and the one thing about Binnington, I don't think Parayko played particularly well at the Olympics, but I think Binnington did. So maybe I'm leading that way, but I'll say Bobby McMahon from the Toronto Maple Leafs. That's
question for you then.
That's the one I would do.
Because he's a UFA.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think his next deal looks like? He'll be 30 years old. He's coming off what I assume will be back-to-back 20-goal seasons.
Yeah. Well, if he signs with Edmonton, we know it'll be long-term with a no-movement clause. I mean, that's just the way they do business. But I think this is his chance to cash. And I think he might go to a team that surprises because somebody will offer him, 5 years and whatever, $4 million. I don't know what the going rate is. The cap has gone up. So there'll be some eyebrow raising July 1st contract signed, I suspect. But I think McMahon, you can see what the appeal is. He does some things that are good and he can score goals. He's got good hands. You can play him up and down the line. You can play him a third line and he still pops some goals. And this is all about outscoring now. I ramble on about this all the time, but for me, it is key. And I'm gonna one more time tell you, if natural stat trick work, I was trying to get it to work today. I don't know what the devil was going on with natural stat trick, but if you go to their line tool, you can find out a lot about what happens with the team. And with the Edmonton Oilers this year, I'm going to read you the stats and you will not believe it. Like, I'm serious. You will not believe it. This is with Connor McDavid on and off the ice, Leon Draisaitl on and off the ice, and then the rest of the team, which is the third and fourth line, on the ice. And this is at even strength. That's 5-on-5 and all the other even strength minutes. So it's 53% with McDavid and Draisaitl together. It's 54% with McDavid solo. And it's 58% with Draisaitl solo. With all the third and the fourth lines, it's 37%. The gap is, that's why Dickinson is so important. And that's why I think Stan Bowman addressed an area that really does have a need. If they can even play at 50% during the playoffs, that's a hell of a lift. And Lazar comes back. Lazar wins faceoffs. Maybe he could be part of the fourth line. They're rugged. He can penalty kill. I like the move for the Edmonton Oilers for that reason alone. I know that Ike Howard's not going to play in the playoffs. I mean, they don't trust him in the regular season. They're not going to trust him in the playoffs. That's my belief, unless there's injuries. So on the left side, you've got Nuge on the top line. Looks like you'll say Roslovic on the second line. I like Podkolzin for the Dickinson line. But on the right side, do you play Savoy with Draisaitl or do you play Kapanen with Draisaitl? And what do you do if you get Bobby McMahon?
I mean, geez. I love Kapanen's work ethic.
Yeah.
Going to win battles, can be physical. Geez, he showed the clutch gene, scored a goal against the Golden Knights to win it. But I really like Savoy and just kind of his, obviously we know he's got the eye for the net. He's an offensive player. That's why he was drafted as high as he was, but also worked on his defensive game. I probably would start with Savoy, and then if I need a little injection of energy, go with Kapanen.
Yep. I think, and also the Kapanen is a different player, Savoy, and he's bigger, and he is aggressive. He's not a masher or anything. Who it does hit like hell is Podkolzin. When he hits people, he's like a fridge.
Yeah.
Do you remember Yaroslav Pozar? You probably don't.
No.
Pozar couldn't skate worth a tinker's dam, but when he hit something, it just stopped moving. It was like an accident, and Podkolzin has a little bit of that in him. I got a text here from John saying, "Can you guys announce some big trades, please?" These are small ones, basically. Corey Perry is that's what we're talking about. Vinny Hinostroza is on his way to Florida for futures from Minnesota. Nick Foligno has been traded to the Minnesota Wild. I'm glad for him. The Bruins made a deal that includes no one of note, really, with Philadelphia. Is that fair?
Yeah, it's a minor league trade.
Yeah. That's fair.
And Juracek, I like a lot for Philadelphia. They gave up Bobby Brink. I think that's the kind of player Philadelphia needed to get. There's a lot of promise there, maybe not a lot of delivery yet. Last night, one of the players that I kind of looked at for the Oilers, and I knew that they wouldn't be able to afford him because of the cap, but John Carlson, who is like Mike Green plus for the Washington Capitals in their history, he gets traded to the Anaheim Ducks for a conditional first and a 2027 third round pick. That's a lot of history to give up. And Anaheim, good for them. They're going for it. He's still a wonderful player, not what he used to be. But does that give Anaheim a real spike in terms of how you evaluate their playoff chances?
In 5 questions, we talked about teams that you wanted to see do something, and that was my pick, was the Ducks. They're playing great hockey, and maybe you don't want to shake up the chemistry, but I think a guy like Carlson doesn't do that. I think he'll be a great fit. Duke can probably answer this one a little more. I will say, do we trust @HockeyInsider on X?
Yeah.
I've never heard of it, so no.
35,000 followers. Says, the Oilers may not be done. Progressing talks with the Leafs and Bobby McCann.
Oh, really?
Now, that is a account with no face on X. So
sure, but 35,000 followers.
People believe
either he's funny or he's got one right.
You could be 1 out of 100 and people will follow. But Duke, you can talk about Carlson. I suppose.
Yeah, you're right, Ty, that this isn't a guy that's putting up 71 points anymore, but he's still like a 46 points in 55 games this year. The offensive production is still there. He's always been very solid two-way. He skates really well still, which is something that we know that can help a guy extend his career. Capitals all-time leader from the back end in pretty much every single statistical category. Stanley Cup champion. This is the Ducks pushing some chips in a first-round pick, whether it be this year or next. And if that case, it's a big failure because the condition is it's next year's if they don't make the playoffs this season. It's a great ad in my eyes, and it's a price to pay for a most likely pure rental defenseman. but it all of a sudden makes your back end balance out a little bit more, where you're not asking Jacob Trouba or Radko Gudas to take on the toughest defensive assignments as Jackson Lacombe's partner. And Lacombe is maybe still, to an extent, one of the better kept secrets around the NHL for how good he is on the back end. The Oilers fans have seen it up close and personal a couple times. You now give him a bona fide top pairing, 22 plus minute a night guy as his right shot partner. Man, it slides Gudas and Trouba down. The forwards have been excellent for Anaheim most of the season. I'm very, very pleased with this as somebody that watches the team game to game. And I think as of right now, before any more things shake out, I think they have to be the favorites to end up taking home the Pacific Division regular season title.
Which is wild, right? Because at the end, like January 30th, the Oilers were tied with Vegas in points. Now, Vegas had 2 games in hand. And now it's like a free-for-all. And tonight's game is really important, like really important for the Edmonton Oilers. And they're playing a hell of a unit, the Carolina Hurricanes. We've got Spec coming up. Did you guys hear about Sid Sixero talking about Connor McDavid and Bowman's panicking? And
I saw a clip that essentially his entire evaluation of the 3 players the Oilers acquired was purely their plus-minus. That was the clip I saw anyway, which is to me a little bit laughable.
Toronto is burning down because of the Maple Leafs, and they find the time to go pick on McDavid and the Oilers. I guess it's just a matter of if you can't focus all the time the negativity on the Maple Leafs. Do you trust Tree Living to make the trades for Toronto today? I mean, I don't think he's going to be there next year. Is that fair?
The way things have gone, I think nobody should be really safe with Toronto. That leadership core, coach, GM, anyone involved in hockey decisions, I think probably feels a little pressure today.
Boy, Brendan Shanahan did not have that work out like he thought it was going to.
They were so close to beating the Panthers last year. What happened?
And then if they'd done that, then the Oilers would have met the Leafs and beaten them.
Of course. Marner gets extended.
Canada would no longer be a country, but we would have really enjoyed that Stanley Cup final. On the way, Spec, as we continue with our trade deadline coverage on Fantasy Frenzy. Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440 and YouTube.
Hi, I'm Colin Livingston, president of Cantork. We've been tightening bolts and redefining our industry for 25 years. Yes, a quarter century, and we're just getting started. Check us out at cantork.com. Our tools age better than I do.
Actions speak louder than words. Japa Machinery Group puts your construction plan into action with XCMG construction machinery you need. Available for rental or sale. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
A pizza from Papa John's is already pretty great, but you know what's even better? 2 pizzas from Papa John's. For a limited time, get a medium 1-topping pizza for only $6 when you order any large specialty pizza at regular menu price. Whether you're feeding your family, your team, or yourself, get your next meal from your locally owned and operated Papa John's with a $6 1-top medium when you order any large specialty at regular menu price. Better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's.
Summit Restaurant, located in the heart of the Silent Ice Center and just minutes from South Edmonton Common. Summit is your destination for exceptional house-made pizza, delicious entrees, and expertly crafted cocktails. Experience the perfect blend of flavor and ambiance in a modern setting. Join us for a straightforward yet elevated dining experience where our commitment to quality speaks to every bite and sip. Make Summit Restaurant your next night on the town.
Whether it's a house, a gas station, an apartment complex, or any new building going up above ground, the work always starts below ground. And that's where you'll find GS Construction. GS Construction ensures the first step, relocating utilities, installing new ones, and building the underground systems, is taken to make progress possible. But the work can't start without you. GS Construction is currently on the lookout for experienced top men, pipe layers, and operators. To apply, visit gsconstruction.ca.
Hey Edmonton, did you know a local Play Alberta winner scored over $500,000 on Mega Jackpots Ocean Bells? Think about the season tickets you could lock down with that kind of cash. From major casino winners every hour to jackpots worth millions and hundreds of popular games to money that stays in the province, there's never been a better time to sign up for Play Alberta. Download the app today to get started with casino, sports, and lottery all in one app. Must be 18 plus to play. When you gamble, use your game sense.
Hi, Mike here from Northgate Chevrolet Buick GMC. March Madness is finally here. If you've been waiting to get into a new or used vehicle, now is the time. This is a mega sale Plus, the grand opening of our all-new Autoplex, a massive indoor showroom. No iPads, no patio sets, no trips to Vegas. Just a good deal. So stop in and see us today, 13215 97th Street, or visit us online at northgategm.com.
You're in Northgate country.
This is Andrew Walker, host of the postgame show on Sports 1440. After every hockey game this season, tune in and chime in as we talk about the game. It's all sponsored by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Don't get left in the cold. Visit legacyheating.ca.
Oh, Canada. Jiffy Lube is here to keep you moving through mornings like these. Full synthetic oil changes, quality Pennzoil products, tire checks, battery tests, and everything else your car needs to get through our winters. Stop by Jiffy Lube for fast, easy, warranty-approved service. No appointment, no hassle. Just dependable service right when you need it. Jiffy Lube, keeping you moving through this.
Who made their team better? Who hasn't done a thing? And who's thrown in the towel? It's trade day on Edmonton's only 24-hour sports station, Sports 1440.
It's 11:39. This is Sports 1440 on 1440 AM radio and YouTube. It's a Fantasy Frenzy trade deadline day. And thanks for tuning in. We've got myriad people in the room, and we're going to all talk to Mark Spector now, senior columnist from Sportsnet. Spec, how are you, man?
Al, with that intro music, before we talk hockey, I want to tell you about the time when I was about 16 years old that I went to Sub Theater to see Devo live in Edmonton at the U of A campus.
Did you look to the person next to you and say, "Are we not men?"
It was one of the sneaky great concerts I've ever been to be honest.
I love Devo. I like Kraftwerk. I love Devo. I love all that music, man.
Yeah, okay. So what about trade deadline? What's going on today?
Okay, well, let's talk about Matthias Janmark. You tweeted out 30 minutes ago, had surgery, shoulder. You say we suspect he'd be ready for training camp in the fall. Janmark, he was off his game. We know what he can do, but we also know he's extremely effective in recent playoffs, specifically on the penalty kill. I know that's one reason they probably went out and got Dickinson, who's a center. But I wonder if missing Janmark is a bigger deal based on how well he's played in the playoffs the last couple of years.
Well, sure. It's a bummer for the Oilers because frankly, at this stage of his career, you kind of have Janmark around all regular season. And he doesn't make any impact. But you say that's okay because we love him in the playoffs, and every year he makes a huge impact in the playoffs in his role. And so you just got 50-some games out of him, and you're not going to get him in the playoffs. So that's, it's no one's fault. He's injured. It's a shame. So, he's got 1 year left in his deal. Does he come back and play that 1 year? I don't know. He's frankly, his fourth line wingers that don't score much. There's lots of them out there, but you need a different one. Could you use the same one? I don't know about that, but I guess my point would be it is a bummer that you don't get playoff Janmark because he's proven to be pretty good at it.
We're getting reporting that the Leafs are finalizing a deal on Bobby McMahon. Any thoughts on? I have no idea if the Oilers are in on it. I assume that they would have been before all the other dealing. Is that something that if he might be available, they would look at Bobby McMahon? Do you think, or do you think their forward group is done?
I would think they have in the past talked about Bobby McMahon, but they've gone ahead and made other moves here. Right? I think a third line center was more important to this team than what Bobby McMahon brought. If there is some way that with their $475 cap space and maybe sending someone down and getting the Leafs to carry, would you want Bobby McMahon on your team? Sure you would. He's really fast and he would be a good complementary winger here. Are they breaking it? I don't know. We'll see.
I like the penalty kill additions from Chicago. The Blackhawks have a nice group there. Obviously, two of the four top PK guys in Murphy and Dickinson here in Edmonton. Do you see this team I mean, we've heard AJ Greer is a possibility as well. I feel like we're heading for, and I know you tweeted about it yesterday and wrote about it, but the idea that maybe that fourth line, if not this year, then next fall, becomes a really tough, rugged, hard to play against energy fourth line like we've seen in the past here in Edmonton.
Well, I'm just looking forward to a time when you see Connor Clattenburg and Colton Dach, on either side of hopefully a rugged centerman, right? That's not going to happen this year and in the playoffs. I don't even know what happens next year, but I think it sure would be a lot of fun for an older team that has had an issue with energy, right? When you get an older veteran team like this, they don't always have a ton of energy and they don't always have a ton of emotion. And having those two cats beating people up on the fourth line and making the boards make some sounds here at Rogers, I think that'd be fun. Don't you guys think that'd be fun?
I'd like to see it. I just want to see them outscored too. Like I love the big guys who can play. Remember that Vegas fourth line a few years ago?
Oh boy,
McMahon to the Avs.
I mean, listen, this apples and oranges. Those are three veteran players in the league.
Yeah.
These are two kids. Clattenburg's not even an NHL player yet, so we're a ways away from having that Vegas line here.
Connor's got some news.
Yeah, not officially yet, but Frank Cervalli is saying it looks like it's the Avalanche who are engaged in talks with Bobby McMahon.
And Spec Asir, he said McMahon not coming here, as it turns out. That is correct. What do you think about Corey Perry heading to Tampa Bay for a second-round pick? I loved watching him here, man. I know he's old and slow, but, man, he's a fun player to watch.
Oh, for sure. And I really question what's going on in LA. Like 1 minute you're bringing in Panarin, which tells me you're trying to do something. And the next minute you're trading out Corey Perry, who not only, is he a total playoff dog, like a good, valuable guy in the playoffs, but he's also had a really good regular season for you. Like Corey Perry is a good player for that Kings team and an important player. And if you're telling me you're trying to make a playoff run, but you're trading away Corey Perry, like what are we doing in LA? I'm not sure.
Yeah. The other day we were talking about Evan Bouchard, Spec, and we were talking about him winning the Norris, and I made the point I believe that he's a puck moving guy. He doesn't fast like Makar or as slick as say an Erik Karlsson, and I don't see him winning the Norris. Do you see him getting enough votes this or any other year to win the Norris?
Well, don't say this or any other year. I can't speak for future years. I don't, I do think there is a stigma out there for Bouchard that, oh, great, he's an offensive guy and he gets points through playing with McDavid on the power play, but he's not good enough to give the Norris to. But Erik Karlsson won Norris trophies, and he's no better defensively than Bouchard, right?
Yeah,
Erik Karlsson was brutal in his own end. In fact, half the time didn't look like he was trying, and he won Norris trophies. I'll tell you what, Evan Bouchard has to be. I mean, he's in your conversation this year. There's no question about that. And I would never say he's never going to win a Norris, Al. Like, absolutely, he could win a Norris. And all he's got to do this year is give you a better October and November, and maybe he does win the Norris.
Yeah. I think that's about where it is. We get a lot of texts. I'm sure that you interact with Oilers fans and you hear it too. People get down on Darnell Nurse. He hasn't had the year that he had. Last year's regular season was better. We're at a point now where in 27 summer, the no movement clause eases a little bit, where he gives some names about teams that he would, they get a list of names there he'd go. Do you think there's any possibility that management goes to Nurse this summer and says, hey, we're a year away from this, we'd like to go in a different direction? Do you think that's possible or likely? He is a core part of the group since 2015 in the orientation camp that summer. It's at one level, it's a seismic shift, a sea change, as the kids say. Do you think that's a possibility, Spec?
Yeah, it is. It's listen, anytime you have a $9.25 million player who you do not perceive as giving you that much value, you're trying to conceive of ways to get out from under. And it's just a fact here. Nurse is never going to be, unless the cap goes through the roof. And this is my last answer because I got to go do a TV hit with Principe.
Yeah.
And unless the cap goes up another way more millions, or Darnell Nurse's game gets all of a sudden a million times better, that's always going to be a thing for someone running the Oilers. And at some point, when that thing opens up and you can trade them, yes, that conversation will be had. You know, I know how big a piece Darnell is around here. Giant, massive, huge part of the leadership group, huge guy in the dressing room. But the facts are the facts. He's making 9.25, and he's not playing up to it.
No. Spec, you rock. Thanks. Go.
All right, boys.
There's Mark Spector from Sportsnet on his way to talk to Principe. I'd do that too. I'd dump me for Principe. That's a good move.
Yeah, absolutely. You know? I would do it to myself. Duke, I assume he would do it too. You know,
interesting stuff from Spec talking about Nurse, and you know, the possibility of moving on from Darnell Nurse. Now the cap goes way up, but I think that we're transitioning now from the Holland era team, and I think last year was a Holland coda, and now we're into the Stan Bowman era, and that may be what will be his first major. I mean, I guess maybe you could say Trent Frederick was, but I think this is a bigger move.
Our booster juice is here.
Oh, I didn't know we were getting booster juice.
Yeah, shout out booster juice.
Oh, did we order food and drink?
I believe so.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What did I order?
I hope you got an acai bowl.
Yeah.
Oh,
a
very nice.
smorgasbord of everything.
Oh, I see. All right.
You really can't go wrong.
Well, I remember when my friend Dale Wishawant was in my baseball rotisserie league, Edmonton ERL it was called. And he said to me one time, he said, we were at the draft. I think it was at down at Ducey Park. It's different now. It's called a different name now. But we're having the draft there. And he said to me, yeah, I got this. I knew this guy when I was in university, and I'm starting this new venture. It's called Booster Juice. And I said, oh, great. Can you give me a couple of, free drinks? And he said, yeah, when I get there. And it's just become this massive thing. So
you could have got in on the ground floor.
Well, I could have, but dumb as a post in terms of business. So that was never going to work. All right. So how do we feel about it so far? With McMahon gone, I guess Greer would be a name that the Oilers might have interest in. I still don't know about the week's tweet about the goaltender. I don't think that goes anywhere. Although, as we found out earlier, Mackenzie really likes the idea of Bennington coming here. You didn't, or did you not like it? I can't remember now.
I did not like it.
I remember.
I don't trust him.
Yes. Don't trust him as far as you can throw him. I understand.
I think he would just be so good for, the vibes, the post-game, pre-game interviews. Do I look nervous? When he's asked about the one word to describe the Kachucks?
Yeah.
It's like, they're brothers. This guy just seems funny.
Goalies are always great interview. I remember one time Tom Barrasso, when he's playing for the Ottawa Senators, Scott Oak, they'd won a game in overtime, and Scott Oak caught him as he was leaving, the ice, and they just did a really quick interview. And Scott Oak said, how do you feeling? How are you going? How's the team feel? He goes, I don't know. I'll find out if you stop asking me dumb questions. Hockey players are the best, and goaltenders are the best of the best.
But I will say, there's also times where I've been like, oh, I hope Bennington gets it.
Well,
he walked that line.
Swinging his stick around at players, and then, it doesn't work.
He walks that line, right?
At the risk of bringing up something that's painful, which I do all the time, can anybody reasonably say the goaltending is better now that Stuart Skinner's gone?
No.
So,
and then this goes back to when the trade happened. Connor and I were kind of pounding this drum that it does seem pretty lateral, and maybe there's a slightly higher ceiling, but the floor seems equally as low, which is for the most part what the Oilers have gotten from Tristan Jarry. But you mentioned it earlier, Al, that I continue to fall back on this notion that you can say Jarry hasn't been good enough, and that's pretty matter of factly. But the play in front of him has just been so suspect and passive inside your own zone, and it's defending in zone, it's defending off the rush. When you're watching the Oilers and say, this is essentially the same core principality of team that went to back-to-back Stanley Cup finals. It's tough to believe at times when you watch them. Yeah. And maybe the additions of guys like Murphy and Dickinson in particular, whose element is playing defensive hockey, can almost like jolt this team back into that version of themselves where they're not all liabilities on their own side of the red line when they're on the ice.
Yeah. The Oilers' biggest weakness is the puck. It's just always going the wrong way. They're a brilliant team when the top two lines are on. And they're a brilliant team on the power play. Lately, the PK has hurt them, and the third and fourth line have been an issue all year. And, if we're honest, for most of the last several years, I really like the Dickinson ad. And I think that they do have some, ideally, what we'd see tonight is Podkolzin, Dickinson, and then Fernando Pisani. It's not possible, but maybe they can get close. And I do like Kapanen. I do like Kasperi Kapanen. Anybody ever thought of moving Nurse to forward? I answer a question on my blog about Nurse to forward at least once a week and have for many years. The transition isn't ever. I grew up in a period where forwards would sometimes go play defense, like Jimmy Roberts in Montreal or Eddie Westfall in Boston, and it's not as easy a transition as it looks to be, and that's the problem there.
Ask Struddy at 120.
Oh yeah, I will.
He did it.
He did both. You're right. Steve Stais did as well.
Stais, yeah.
Yeah.
He was a forward in my old NHL video game for the Atlanta Thrashers.
Was he really?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I traded him, brought him on defense. His rating went down quite a bit.
Oh, wow.
Just quickly seen here before we go to the top of the hour, Nick Delorier going to Carolina, according to Elliot Freeman, and David Pagnotta reporting that the Hawks and Rangers are working on a Derek Pouliot trade.
Oh, really?
Cool.
Got me excited there. I thought maybe Marc-Antoine Pouliot was coming
He's back.
One of my favorite players, still playing in Switzerland. He loves the Alps. All right. So coming up next hour, did we say goodbye to you? Are you bound and down?
I'm out of here. See you guys later.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back to my roots and enjoy the rest of trade deadline from my couch.
Well, you've worked good 2 hours today, so
Yeah, maybe.
What time do you roll in?
If we're rounding up to the nearest 2 hours.
What time do you roll in?
I usually get here around like 6:15, 6:20 or so.
Yeah. I love that the morning show starts at 7. That's the kindest morning show in the history of the world.
They took a look at Karras and I was like, "Ooh, we don't need to see these guys." At
Well, I'm
6
sure
a.m.
Carrie said in the summertime, I got to go out and weed the garden for the first 2 hours. So I'm not showing up until 7. And they said, oh, okay, that's fine. All right. We will have more deadline stuff. We'll kind of call it the lowdown, but it's really trade deadline coverage powered by Booster Juice. Coverage powered by Booster Juice. Trade in that hunger for great tasting wraps and paninis and ICEA bowls at Booster Juice today. Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440 and YouTube. It's time for an update with Mackenzie.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
6 games in the NHL tonight. The Oilers are back in action against the Hurricanes at Rogers. Puck drop at 7. Murphy, Dickinson, and Doc all set to make their debut. We've got pregame coverage with Andrew Walker at 6. Big matchup in the Central with Colorado and Dallas. Canucks are in Chicago. Montreal takes on the Ducks. Vegas hosts the Wild. St. Louis meets San Jose. Nick Delorier is heading to California, per reports. Corey Perry to Tampa Bay from LA for a second rounder. Minnesota has traded future considerations to Chicago for Nick Foligno. Kraken captain Jordan Eberle is signing a 2-year, $5.5 million extension in Seattle. 7 games in the association. Hornets look to make it 7 in a row in Boston. Tip off at 5. Nuggets host the Knicks. Clippers take on the Spurs. Pacers are in LA for the late slate. In the NFL offseason, Raiders will release quarterback Geno Smith, opening up $8 million in salary cap space while taking on $18.5 million in dead money. Commanders have also re-signed kicker Jake Moody to a 1-year deal. In the AJ, Devin hosts Drumheller. Puck drop at 7. I'm Mackenzie, and that's your Sports 1440 update. Next on Sports 1440, the lowdown with Lowetide, Declan Krueger, and Josh Fenwick.
Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
Planning your next event? Let Loca Quality Market cater. From made-to-order meals to gourmet platters to full chef tasting experiences, they make entertaining effortless. Visit loca.ca to start planning today.
Hughes, it's all about getting in and out quick and clean. No cash, no problem. With Hughes' new tap and wash system, all you need is your debit or credit card to get your vehicle sparkling clean.
Find us at HughesCarWash.com.
Measles is very dangerous during pregnancy, increasing the risk of many severe health-related complications. If you're planning to become pregnant, make sure you have received 2 doses of the vaccine at least 1 month before conception. Don't get measles, get immunized. Visit alberta.ca/measles to find out if you're up to date and what to do if you're not. A message from the Government of Alberta.
Want to invest in Alberta's workforce, fill your talent pipeline, and get funding? Careers, the next generation connects employers with motivated, pre-vetted youth through funded internships. Easy, impactful, and risk-free.
When you work with a group like Careers who have experience in that area, they can demystify and navigate all the complex steps and stakeholders that have to be involved.
Visit careersnextgen.ca today.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is the #1 furnace install company for sailors because they know the value of a warm port. And they sing, there was a ship who fought the cold, who sailed the sea with a furnacey load. She brought the heat to YEG and her name was Legacy. Through icy wind and winter squall, her fire she burned for one and all with a comfort chugging guarantee, and her name was Legacy. No payments, no. Yep, no payments and no interest for 1 year on your new furnace. Don't trust just any ports in a winter storm. Trust Legacy Heating and Cooling.
This is Andrew Walker, host of the postgame show on Sports 1440. After every hockey game this season, tune in and chime in as we talk about the game. It's all sponsored by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Don't get left in the cold. Visit legacyheating.ca.
Do you listen to sports radio at work? Like right now? Well, do you?
Who, me? No way. I swear.
Okay, friend, we won't tell. Tens of thousands of sports fans listen to Sports 1440 each and every day. On the radio, on the listening apps, on YouTube, and on social media. If you listen to Sports 1440 at work, well, maybe it's time to advertise on Sports 1440 at work. Grow your business. Get your name out there. Shoot our ad team an email. Gregor@sports1440.ca. Let's get to work for you.
Okay, how about you give us your star winger for a bag of pucks? What if I throw in some Will Hawk beef jerky?
Yourself a trade.
With Will Hawk Beef Jerky on their side, the Alberta teams definitely have an unfair advantage this trade deadline. Pick up some today and use it for trade leverage in your fantasy league.
No way, man. It's way too good.
Will Hawk Beef Jerky, only available in Leduc. Get yours today because you don't win trades with salad.
From the local rinks to homes and businesses across the province, Alberta's rural natural gas utilities are here to fuel life affordably, reliably, and safely. We're members of the Federation of Alberta Gas Co-ops, providing natural gas to keep our rural neighborhoods warm and connected every day. It's local, dependable, and it's ours. To learn more about the Federation of Alberta Gas Co-ops and our members, and how natural gas fuels your community, visit fedgas.com. Alberta's energy. Game on.
He's the only person to win an arm wrestling contest with the Philly Fanatic. The Lowdown with Lowetide, now on Sports 1440.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
And this is trade deadline coverage on Sports 1440 and YouTube, powered by Booster Juice. Trade out your lunches for deliciously fueling smoothies and food. Visit Booster Juice today to try the all-new Acai Bowls. Now, we are into hour number 2 of coverage after Carius exited stage left with all the trades already announced. I'm sure we'll get busy now that Jason Krueger is here. Of course, Corey Perry off to Tampa Bay from Los Angeles. Bobby McMahon has been dealt to the Colorado Avalanche, and a few smaller trades this morning. Gregor, you have been talking a little bit about several players, including AJ Greer. Oilers could be done, but you feel like maybe there's something out there for them.
Well, I think there's a chance. I just look at, I don't think it's ideal to have Szymanski and Doc, two guys in their entry-level deals, and they're your 12th and 13th forwards. Now, unless that all of a sudden Henrique's going to become your number 13 forward, and I don't think they're there yet. I think Knobloch really likes him as one of his penalty killers. So, and I don't think they're just going to add Dickinson and take Henrique out. I don't think that's the point. So I just, there's too many bodies of young guys. So, you know what, if you could play Szymanski every night in the minors rather than every second night in the NHL, I think you'd rather do that. So, and it would help the Condors, who I think they'd like to get them in a position where they could have a decent run in the playoffs. So that's where I think, you know, they do have cap space easily because you can just send one of the guys down. plus the $475 they have. So they have more than enough cap space to easily make a move.
And Szymanski's a difference maker down there too. Like he can help that team.
Oh yeah, and I think Szymanski. I like him a lot. I think he's going to play in the NHL. But when I look at just the makeup of the team and what's better for player development, I see an opening to possibly add another forward.
When a lot of people have been texting in and talking about, they didn't get a right-handed center. Lazar's been really good on the face-off circle. I kind of like the idea of a fourth line if they can do it with like Henrique, if he's going to play fourth line center, take the strong side left draws, and then Lazar playing the right side draws.
Yeah, and he's out 4 weeks, so in theory he could be back, and and so that's maybe why they don't want to add someone, because they think he's going to be back in time. And they said 4 weeks. Who knows? Maybe it's only 3 weeks, and they feel that hey, Doc or Szymanski can rotate, and maybe someone's nicked up and they get a night off here or there, and so they keep him, and maybe they don't add anybody. So it's very plausible. To me that would make sense. Do they want to add another depth defender? I guess you could, but then you're carrying 8 D men, and I don't know if they really want to do that.
Yeah, and I never say never, because if something lands like in last minute and it makes sense for them, they would obviously do that. But I think the big thing for them, at even strength this year, when Draisaitl and McDavid are on the ice together, they're at 53% goal share, 54% when McDavid is solo without Leon. Leon without McDavid is 57%, 58%. But at even strength, the third and fourth lines are combined 37%. That's why I think Dickinson is such an important piece. Do you see him as being a guy who's going to, of the 22 minutes the third and fourth lines play at even strength, do you think that the third line's probably going to get like 13 of that, or do you think it'll be evenly shared?
Well, I think you might see a reduction in the 5-on-5 time of McDavid and Draisaitl. Not significant, but 30 seconds each, which is an extra minute.
Yeah.
I think that third line of Podkolzin, Frederick, and Dickinson is a line that so I was looking up. So Dickinson's played 296 minutes against elite forwards this year, and he's missed 14 games.
Yeah.
So just to compare, Draisaitl's been at 334.
Yeah. 50% of Dickinson's minutes have been at 5-on-5.
That's because that team's terrible. It's never going to be that high in Edmonton, right? And it doesn't need to be that high in Edmonton. But if he takes, because McDavid right now and Draisaitl, if you look at, they're almost even their minutes against elite, middle, and grit, because Knobloch doesn't really care. He'll run out against anybody. But now he's never really had a third line that he could look at and say, home ice especially, that I can get some defensive zone starts against the other team's top line. I'm putting out that line all day, every day.
No.
And even the odd offensive zone start. I don't need every offensive zone start to always be your best guys.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't think it helps continuity of your team. You can do it the majority, but every now and then, if they're having a really good game, say, okay, let's start them down there. Let's force the other team's best line to have to defend a grinding shift against the third line. And so what I think Dickinson's value will be, he could lower the minutes that Draisaitl and McDavid play against elite. I don't think it's going to lower their overall minutes,
right?
But it means that now they'll play more against third line or fourth line, second line type of players. And that's a big advantage. Like that should be, like I was doing the math and I'm like, if McDavid just gets 4 more shifts a game where it's 4 shifts less against elite, but now he's playing either middle or grit, that's an advantage I would take every time, right? That, the shifts are 45 seconds long. So you're talking 3 minutes in the course of a game. It's not a massive amount, but it's a significant amount.
Even if he scores a goal every 2 or 3 games, that is a big difference maker. I was trying to think of the last, I know Horkoff played that role, Boyd Gordon in the past, but it's, in the McDavid era, because they have such great depth and quality in the center position with McDavid, Draisaitl, and Nuge when they use them there, they've never really had to worry about it. But I mean, the idea of having that like ace in the hole, where if you've got a defensive zone start and you'd kind of like to run, the third line, Dickinson line out there, you get a little more confidence in an own zone start.
Some moves that just happened due to the waiver wire. The Canucks have claimed tough guy Curtis Douglas from Tampa Bay. The Flyers claimed Luke Glendening from New Jersey. Glendening doesn't have a goal yet this year. And the Panthers claimed Cole Reinhardt, which probably is a little bit of a precursor to tell you that they're going to move AJ Greer, right? So they were just looking body in, body out, and away you go. Now, obviously, Reinhardt's a very different player. And the Capitals have just acquired Timothy Liljegren.
There you go. That's Toronto, San Jose, Washington now for Liljegren. Interesting player.
And here's one coming down from Saravalli. The Blues are trading Captain Braden Shen to the New York Islanders.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That kid defenseman made a difference on the island or wherever the hell they play now, eh? Burbank. Can't remember where they play.
Yeah. Well, hey, I look at the that Schaefer kid. He's not bad.
Yeah.
He's been all right for certain. But so those are some moves. I like. There's still a lot of names out there and some teams. Like I'm fascinated to see what the Pittsburgh Penguins do in the next 51 minutes. Like the Penguins. So Crosby's out now. Even if he's only out a week in a playoff race, that can be a difference of a lot of things. Now Malkin, is he going to get suspended for his slash?
Did you see that?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He's probably going to get a game or two, I would think.
Yeah.
And so suddenly the Blue Jackets are 3 points back of the Islanders and the Penguins.
Yeah.
And the Senators are more 4 points back of Boston for the wild card. But, Boston's, if you look at it, if Columbus catches you and the Penguins fall down, well, now you got to battle for the wild card. So because they've got 75 points, the Islanders have 75 points, the Canadians have 75 points, the Bruins have 73 points, the Jackets have 62. Now the Capitals did trade John Carlson. Now they got Timothy Liljegren. That's obviously a downgrade. Them and the Senators each have 69. Like it's a pretty good race out there. Then you look in the West. The Knights 72, the Ducks 71, the Oilers 68, Mammoth have 70 in the wild card spot, the Kraken 67, Sharks and Kings 66. Like. Are the Kings selling off here? They traded Vogel,
it's so dumb.
And now they're trading Corey Perry. Like, dumb or realistic?
But why would you trade for Panarin then?
Well, because Panarin's a longer term player,
okay.
Right? Panarin,
you sign him, you trade him, then you sign him.
Well, he's already signed, right?
Yeah,
They signed him to a 2-year extension, so they desperately needed a top end player. Like Panarin's a legit player. I look at Corey Perry's 40 years of age, and God love him, but he's slowing down. So you get a second rounder, like Oiler fan. Like I was trying to tell everybody. Cool your jets. You're freaking out over a late, probably what's going to be a late first rounder for Dickinson and a young player. Tampa Bay, like it all depends on how you value draft picks. And I do think still that people, when they hear first rounder, they just think, well, all first rounders are even. No, there's different levels. Like first rounder top 10 is very different than first rounder middle, and even much different than first rounder in the bottom tier. No different than a second rounder. Like most of these second rounders that are getting traded usually are going to end up being in the bottom half in the second round.
Sure. Reed Schaefer was drafted 32nd overall by the Oilers in 2022, and he's still not an established player in the NHL. He's played 28 games. It takes a long time. When you're drafting that late, unless it's Patrice Bergeron and you've just fallen ass over in tea kettle, and that's rare.
Yeah.
NHL scouts know what they're doing. There's no doubt about that.
I still think there's Griffin Reinhart, like we could get into a few picks.
That's a trade, right?
Yeah, but it was still from the same amateur guys because he'd just been drafted. Right?
It still boggles my mind that they didn't have any eyes on him in that year in AHL at Bridgeport Sound. Like, what the hell, Jason?
Dude. Like when I look at some of the worst trades, that one's right up there.
Oh, yeah.
Still,
no.
Because you gave up a first rounder and a very early second rounder.
Yeah.
That eventually the Islanders used to move up into the first round to take Beauvillier.
Yeah.
Solid, middle six forward. I don't even care about Matt Barzal because I don't think they would have taken Matt Barzal because they had McDavid and they had Draisaitl.
They would have taken Joel Eriksson-Ek, I think.
Sure. And there's the third line center you had for or you could have taken Kyle Connor or Thomas Chabot. Like you had, or you could have taken Travis Konecny.
Or
go down
Brendan
the
Carlo.
list.
It was a deep draft.
Right.
Man.
Like so many guys that were options there. And like the minute that trade was made, I was like, this is a bad trade. Like Griffin Reinhart, his pilot light was never on bright. That's just smart guy, nice kid. His pilot light was never on bright.
I remember interviewing him right after like that on the old Nation radio show. He was off skates all summer. Like his dad said, don't skate all summer. And I don't think he ever had like close to the foot speed. When he played junior, he was so physically dominant that nobody put the puck into his area of the defensive zone because he could just beat them up and grab the puck. But once he got to pro, obviously older players, and it never really did work out. When you look at this Oilers team, Jason, who ideally, when everybody's healthy, would you like to have as Dickinson's winger?
Oh, it's Podkolzin and Frederick.
No.
Yeah. For me, that's the now. You know what? Maybe when it gets back to full speed, maybe it's Kapanen.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Trent. You give guys certain roles. That's the role Trent Frederick played in Boston.
Yeah.
And for people who were about, hey, he outscored for the 2 years when he scored 17 and 18 goals and basically played none with Pasternak and none with Marchand is playing second or third line.
Yeah.
He was outscored the opponents 91-60, 5-on-5.
He was great.
Right?
He really was.
What's the biggest thing I've noticed in Trent Frederick since coming out of the Olympic break? Look how many battles he's winning.
Yeah.
He wins battles now because confidence is a strange thing. Confidence helps you in lots of areas of your game. Obviously, scoring a goal, I think, was very big for him. But it's winning the battles. Podkolzin, we know, is a relentless worker. Dickinson takes huge amount of pride in his defensive game, right? Like, and sure, they'll chip in a little bit because they work hard and they can grind, but their effectiveness is going to be limiting the opposition and then having some shifts that tire out the team's defending. And then you know what? You have a good momentum shift, and now you go to Draisaitl. Now you go to McDavid, and boom, now you've got some maintained momentum, and that's what it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be a third line that produces a boatload of offense, but that's fine. The Oilers don't need offense.
Just
the
suppress
highest scoring freaking team in the league.
Yeah.
They just need to reduce goals against at every line, including their top line.
Yeah. The last two games, the February 26th game against the Kings and then the Anaheim game, in terms of via NHL max speed, NHL edge, those were the fastest games for Frederick. I do think he's the high ankle sprain was last April. It took a while. I think he's rounding into the form that we saw when he was a Bruin, and he was outstanding as a Boston Bruin. He was very, very good at distracting and upsetting opposition with hard hits.
Interesting. The San Jose Sharks have acquired the big man Elmer Soderblom from Detroit in exchange for a third-round pick.
Interesting.
Yes, he's a huge body. Like the Sharks feel like, hey, we're in the mix here. Mike Grier wants to at least give his team the opportunity to think that, hey, we can compete. And the one thing, they got a lot of smaller forwards there.
Yep.
So, Soderblom, they don't, you just need some bigger bodies at times to intermingle. Like Celebrini, obviously he's a lead player, doesn't really matter. But they don't have a ton of size up front for them.
Yeah, and Grier would know the value of that. Okay.
And here's another one. Kyle Dubas has announced that he's going to meet with the reporters at 1:15 our time.
Oh, wow. So he
Which
must
kind of
be...
suggests that he thinks like, hey, maybe we're done, or he already has a trade and he's put it into the queue. And so now he's got his feet up on his desk. He's going to light the cigar, or maybe he's going to light some incense candles that can maybe lead to them praying. Because I'm telling you, man, like what a year it'd be for the Penguins if they got this close and then didn't do anything here at the deadline and missed the playoffs.
Yeah. What do you make of Kevin Weeks' tweet today saying goalies are in play, but also Ingram was on the list? I'm sure there's just due diligence going on, but you can't get Bobrovsky on most rosters, can you? A few, I guess.
Well, you could trade Bobrovsky to Edmonton if Jari goes to Florida.
No.
Right. And they retain some salary, but I don't.
Who are you going to give to sweeten that deal, though? Like,
well, do you have to? You're giving a goalie who's got term, right? They're getting a goalie with 2 years term. And it would seem odd, but could Florida be looking and saying, hey, this is our way of saying, screw you, Tampa Bay. Right? We're going to get Bob. Like, look what Chicago did. Chicago just gifted Nick Foligno an opportunity to play with his brother. Now, Minnesota had to take the full boat. So I know everyone's saying, oh, it's a gift. I'm like, well, is it really a gift? Like, I like Nick Foligno, but that's a big, heavy ticket to take on. And basically, it put him out of the. Now, obviously, they probably felt they couldn't get Trocheck, so this was a secondary type of deal. But
are you saying
I think
that,
it's very. I think it's very, very like. I'll say 1% chance, Al. So the old Jim Carrey, you're telling me there's a chance.
Are you saying that there's pettiness and comeuppance in NHL general managers' offices?
Well, ask anybody who plays in a fantasy league. You have certain people in your league that you will trade with more than others.
Yes, it's true.
All right,
it's absolutely true.
It just is. And then sometimes you need a commissioner because there are some guys that are douchey about it.
Yeah.
And they'll really, grease the palms of one of their good buddies. Now, the NHL doesn't go that far usually. But do I think a team would look and say, hey, Florida's out. They're not making the playoffs.
No.
And they're the two-time defending champ. Would they want Tampa Bay to get back on top again? Probably not. But do I think they're going to trade Bobrovsky and Edmonton for Jari? I do not.
Okay. All right. We'll take a break. This is deadline coverage of the NHL trade deadline on Sports 1440 and YouTube.
Oil Kings hockey at Rogers Place is family fun that's second to none. And this Sunday afternoon, the team gives back to you.
The Fan Appreciation Game is back, one of the biggest games of the season.
Fans in attendance receive a scratch and win ticket with thousands of instant win prizes up for grabs.
Plus, all the Family Fun Sunday face painting, bouncy castles, and Calmont Kids food combos for $10 or less.
Edmonton Oil Kings, Prince Albert Raiders, Fan Appreciation Game. Family Fun Sunday at 4.
Great seats at Rogers Place start at only $20 at oilkings.ca.
You see it? Fusion Promo Marketing can make it. Fusion makes high-quality, memorable promotional products for businesses, sports teams, and corporate events. From vision to reality, get noticed and remembered. Fusion with a Z. Promomarketing.ca.
You matter. Your mental health matters, and you're braver than you think. Not Alone is an organization focused on creating a space of acceptance and support through tough, meaningful conversation. Use code 1440 for 15% off at notalonecode.com. It's okay to not be okay.
This is Andrew Walker, host of the postgame show on Sports 1440. After every hockey game this season, tune in and chime in as we talk about the game. It's all sponsored by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Don't get left in the cold. Visit legacyheating.ca.
From the local rinks to homes and businesses across the province, Alberta's rural natural gas utilities are here to fuel life affordably, reliably, and safely. We're members of the Federation of Alberta Gas Co-ops, providing natural gas to keep our rural neighborhoods warm and connected every day. It's local, dependable, and it's ours. To learn more about the Federation of Alberta Gas Co-ops and our members, and how natural gas fuels your community, visit fedgas.com. Alberta's energy. Game on.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is the #1 heating and cooling company for people who want heating and cooling, because you'll save a bundle by bundling. Then you can use hot, cold, hot, cold. Come on, thermostat, do what you're told. Turn up the heat, turn up the cold till the vents start pushing out tornadoes. Bundle my furnace with some AC. Gonna get a deal from Legacy. Oh, yeah. Save a bundle when you bundle your new furnace and AC from Legacy today. Plus no payments and no interest for 1 year. That's how you build your legacy. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Here's the Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
This is the Lowdown on Sports 1440. It's trade deadline coverage powered by Booster Juice. And, of course, the Lowdown is presented by Wolf GMC Buick, family-owned, community-driven. We're making it easy. Visit wolfgmcbuick.com. If you're just tuning in, there have been trades, none involving the Edmonton Oilers today. But Corey Perry is off to Tampa Bay. And that's a second-round pick for a 40-year-old. Not bad.
And actually, Soderblom went to Pittsburgh, not San Jose.
Interesting.
Yeah, they had the wrong.
So Clack was right?
The team had the wrong media post. They deleted and put up a new one.
Wow.
So, yeah, there you go.
So somebody in the PR department is
there's a mistake somewhere.
Struggling.
But Soderblom was traded, just not to San Jose. And Matthew Joseph, who had his contract terminated, has now signed with the Kings. So the Kings basically got rid of Corey Perry today for a second rounder, and then they basically signed free agent Matthew Joseph, who had mutually agreed to mutually terminate his contract with the Blues.
You mentioned just before the break, apparently Braden Shen to the Island from New York Islanders from St. Louis Blues. That's an interesting get for a team that has really delivered this year. Like, if you're a fan of the Islanders, you got to be excited about number one, that young defenseman, but also the fact that they're doing that kind of thing, right?
So you look, the Penguins added Soderblom, the Islanders added Shen, and last night the Blue Jackets added Garland.
Yeah.
Who do you think has the bigger impact of the three?
Yeah. But what do you like? The Penguins have a plethora of things they can trade today, right? But you're saying that they're talking to the media in 45 minutes.
Yeah, like I'd be surprised if they're selling off anything. I thought they'd be in adding mode, and they did add a big body. Yeah. So there you go. The other team is the Montreal Canadiens, Al. What are they doing? Am I missing something? They haven't made a trade.
Well, usually if a team is in buy mode and they haven't done anything by now, there's something big that they're.
Yeah, there's usually some that'll come late, but because you look at the Montreal Canadiens, there's another team. The Canadiens have been in a playoff picture all season long, and they're still in it, but they're in the second wild card spot with 75 points. Now they are only 2 points back of Detroit for third place in the Atlantic, and the way Buffalo is rolling, it looks like it's Buffalo and Tampa Bay are going to battle for first and second.
Yeah.
So then it's essentially third, fourth, potentially fifth if there's a crossover for that division. And Montreal's got 75 points. Boston has 73. Ottawa is rolling. They've got 69. Ottawa in their last 10 games has 16 points.
They played well,
right?
And Buffalo and Ottawa, I'd really like to see them make the postseason, just because it's been a tough road for those guys. Like if you're a Buffalo Sabres fan, the idea of adding and making the playoffs, that's pretty cool. Yeah, it's been a while.
Oh, well, you think about it. Lots of the teams that have made the playoffs in a long time. Utah would be the first time for them, and they look like they'll make their way into the postseason. And really, when you consider that, I know it's a new organization, but anybody who is an Arizona fan, you're probably still kind of rooting a little bit for Utah. It's been a long time for them in the postseason. And we got some texts wondering about the orders. Like, do I think they're going to make a move? Well, Stan Bowman did say he thought he was done. He would check around the edges. And I guess there's always a chance, but I'd highly doubt it at this point.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. They went out and they needed a center. They got a guy. Whatever the conversations were with the Leafs, they preferred Dickinson or the price on Dickinson. Michelle says, "What's your favorite and least favorite part of trade deadline?" For me, the favorite part is just when you hear like the part of a trade and the anticipation of it, and this guy's going somewhere where we don't know. And the least favorite is fake accounts tweeting out fake trades. That is the absolute worst.
Has anybody fallen for one of those anymore? Like early on, I think, and even probably 2 years ago, it still worked. I don't know if people fall for it now. I maybe because I haven't seen one out there that anybody fell for anyway. But the favorite part for me is always seeing the reaction from people.
Mm-hmm.
The least favorite part is when I see people just tweeting out zero information, right? But acting like it's information. It just drives me up the wall. Hey, they're talking. They're still looking for a center. Yeah, thanks, Tips. Nothing's changed from the last 2 days. Like when you say going into trade deadline, the Oilers wanted a right shot defenseman and a center. If we would have said that every day, right, it would have got boring. We all knew what they were looking for.
Yeah. It's one thing I've noticed this year is people are going after some of the insiders for. I know Frank had a player staying, and then he ended up leaving. It might have been Perry was going to sign. And then Frank came back and said, look, they were talking. They ended up not getting it done, so Perry leaves. It's a very fluid situation for organizations. And often, whatever sports franchise you follow, they don't make a decision until they have to. And the deadline is a place where you make the decision.
Yeah. The one that did kind of I think that like you had one day Dreger saying that it's a seller's market, and 2 days later is a buyer's market by LeBrun, and so that's where you're like, come on, that's not going to change that much. Look at the price. Like, have the prices gone down?
No,
not at all. So I don't know how you could ever say it was a buyer's market based on some of the price. I don't think some of them are ridiculous, and it varies. Every trade is different. If a team really wants a player, and at the end of the day, it comes down to, do we give up a third and not get the player, or do we just grit our teeth and give up a second? Teams are going to give up the second. Yeah. Now, because someone else got a guy for a first, doesn't mean you're going to get your guy for a first. Right?
And also, I think like there's a lot of parsing going on. I read where, Doc better be something. They gave up a first for Dickinson, and they like Doc. I don't think they think he's the be all and end all, but they decided that they'd bring him in and see what he can do and be a part of this team. They can option him to Bakersfield if it doesn't work out. But the key to the deal was Dickinson. He's a third line center. He can win faceoffs. He can kill penalties. He doesn't score like he used to like 2 years ago, but maybe if he gets with a little better line mates. We have to remember Chicago was a bad team, but Doc is an interesting player, but he wasn't key to the deal. And if you're expecting him to step in and be a big time scorer, I think that you're asking too much. The first for the Dickinson, that's the big part of the deal. And I think that I think they got their guy. They could have gone out and got, Waugh from Toronto, but it sounds like, based on what we've heard, Toronto wanted a lot for OEL too when they were talking to the Edmonton Oilers. So their asking prices are high.
Yeah. I would have, you look at lots of, every trade's different. Like people in Edmonton, somebody's going to look at the trade and say it's terrible, and other people are going to say, hey, I don't mind the trade. It all depends how you value draft picks. I think a lot of people overvalue what a draft pick is. It's just true because you got to make the right pick, and then you got to develop. The pick is just step one in a process of development and then health. And lots of times it could be in the organization. Like really, if you're a young, skilled center who gets drafted by Edmonton, what are your chances of being a skilled offensive player in Edmonton? Like zero.
Yeah.
Because you got Draisaitl McDavid. That's just a fact. So now maybe you could go to the wing, right? That's really just how it's going to be. So, and then other players, Al, will get drafted. And to me, it's, you see, oh, look at this guy. He's already in the NHL. And they took him, and our draft pick didn't make it. Yeah, but does your team have openings, right? You could be on if you get drafted by a bad team, there's more openings when you're 22 than if you're drafted by a good team. That's just a fact.
And they're going to draft like 10 players a year if you're a building team. But give me an example. Savoy was drafted in 2022, and he's arrived now. He's got 25 points in 62 games, plays a regular shift for the Oilers. Not always on skill lines. He's on one right now. But if you're looking for help next year for the Oilers, probably somebody who was drafted at least a couple of years ago, maybe even 3 or 4, is going to help you. And anything they were going to get in 2026 is not going to help until the end of the decade, and you don't know what your roster is going to look like in 2030. So you're offloading. There will be time, trust me, for the Oilers to add a bunch of picks and draft 10 times every year because they'll be building back again. They're not in that mode right now. They're in the winning cycle, and they've gone to the final twice. The only objection I have about the Oilers is the concern I have is the number of no movement clauses. Part of the issue that happened was the pandemic, and then the cap didn't rise. Should get some relief from that this year. But I do blanch at having to trade Mangiapane. I know people are like, hey, that was a rotten signing, but I think most of us, I certainly did. I thought it was a good signing in the summertime, and it didn't work out, and that's fine. But I do think they reset with a really good move here for Jason Dickinson, and I like Murphy too. I think that Connor Murphy is going to help the penalty kill, but also with the toughness on this team. And they're not going to play Florida in the final this year, but they're going to play some tough teams over the next, when the playoffs start over the next several weeks. And you have to have that kind of grit and rugged style. And certainly he's that.
Yeah, well, that's the one guy. Like, there's a few guys, hey, I think Doc's going to bring a lot of things to Edmonton now that they don't have. Now, it might not be right away. Okay, he just turned 23.
Right.
He's a rookie in the NHL on one of the bottom feeder teams. So make no mistake, he's not going to get 11 minutes of ice time, 11:41 a night in Edmonton. It's just not realistic. Okay, you got veterans of 10 years who aren't getting 11:41 of ice time, but you have to find a way if you're going to play the fourth line in Edmonton, to be impactful in limited minutes, and it is a really, really hard job.
Yeah.
It is. It's one of the hardest, most underrated jobs in the NHL, the players who can be impactful in limited minutes. And it's really hard for a young player, Al, because most young players have never had to deal with that.
Yeah.
Right. So now you sit on the bench for extended period of time. Your confidence wanes because you've always he was over a point a game player.
Yeah.
Right. His last 3 years in the WHL, Al, he had 52 goals in 104 games.
Yeah. It's hard too. Ike Howard never played pro hockey before this year, and he's over a point per game, and he had a real cold spell, and now he's coming on again. But for a player like Ike Howard, Savoy spent a year in the AHL, but Savoy did develop two-way skills. Not that he didn't have them before he was a rookie in the AHL, but this is a hard team. You said it earlier, for a rookie, maybe a one-dimensional rookie, a scoring rookie who doesn't play a complete game, to break into, because the team itself has enough, wobble defensively. Bringing in a rookie who's not defensively conscientious is more of a chore than maybe they would want to take on this year. Oh, while also having Savoy, and you've got Szymanski for next year. So I wonder about Ike Howard. Not to suggest they're going to trade him, but I wonder about his role next year. Not this year, obviously, but for next year. It's a process, I guess, for him.
Oh God, yeah. 100%. Well, the truth of the matter is the window that the Oilers are in, and when you have 97 and you have 29, they're in a window to win every year. I know I couldn't believe some people actually thought the Oilers should just do nothing and you know what, save all the bullets in the chamber for another year. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You think you're going to go into the room as the GM and, hey, Connor, Leon, guess what? We did nothing because we're just going to waste this year. That's the best way to get him not to resign. You have to, and honestly, what they gave up, I don't think broke the bank at all. Well, especially if you sign one of Dickinson or Murphy to a right deal, okay, not to a ridiculous dumbass 4-year deal with no movement clauses. No, it should be. Dickinson's only 30.
Yeah,
so I could probably see a 3-year deal with him, but I wouldn't be looking at crazy. Now Dickinson's a guy. If he has a good playoff run now, his value could go up even more, right? That's obviously going to be the challenge there. So,
but like realistically, I mean, you've seen a lot of draft picks come in here and do the summer orientation camp and, go down to the minors when they come out of college or junior hockey. Dickinson was traded for a conditional first-round pick in 2027. So let's say it's number 30 in 2027. That player doesn't get here by the end of the decade. So he's not going to help you in 27, 28, 28, 29, or 29, 30.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
We got a lot of texts coming in. 833-401-1440 is our trade day deadline coverage brought to you by Booster Juice. And you know how good the Booster Juice was? Al might have set a record for eating that panini in record time.
God, I was like, I kept going.
Yeah, was yours the chicken or the steak?
It was the chicken.
Chicken
really
panini.
Good.
Okay.
Really good.
Hey guys, what's your thoughts on Chicago getting rid of their entire leadership group, captains and A's, Murphy, Dickinson, Foligno? Are they making a big mistake? It's a good question. I think they did Nick Foligno a real big solid. Right. And I think like these guys have been there for a long time. They'll still, I think, in the offseason bring in some other veterans, but you watch Connor Bedard. Now, if it was me, I wouldn't give Connor Bedard the C next year. I don't think you have to give your young best player the captaincy all the time. I really don't. I don't. I don't believe Chicago's that much closer to winning. I truly don't. So what you put I didn't love it when Edmonton did it to McDavid in his second season.
It was early. I will say that. I didn't bitch or moan about it, but it felt early.
I didn't see the need for it at that point. Like Chicago, now he's going to wear an A the rest of the year. Awesome. Give him an A. You don't have to give him the C and all the pressure. You can still give him the responsibility, but have it in the form of an A.
Yeah.
That's what I would do if I was Chicago. It's a good question, but I think, like Murphy and Dickinson, I'm not sure they were going to come back. I think those are guys like Dickinson was in the Cup final in 2020 and hasn't been in the playoffs since. I'm sure he's like, hey, yeah, I like it here and I got my paycheck, but I want to get back to being competitive. Foligno's near the end of the career, so they do him a favor. Connor Murphy's been there for 9 seasons. Like that trade at the time, people didn't like that trade when they gave up a Jarmelson. That trade worked out really well for Chicago at the time. So I don't mind it at all. I just think Chicago's going to have to look and make sure they bring in a good guy who can lead your team. And now, Bedard's a little bit older, but I wouldn't give him the C. I'd give him an A.
What do you expect from the Oilers against Carolina tonight? Defensively, they've been like loose as a goose lately. Carolina's a 200-foot team, button-down team. They don't have a McDavid, but they're a good team. And they appear to have their goaltending straightened out a little bit. What do you expect from these guys as they've made moves now? Murphy's in the lineup. Coffey's been around the team for longer now. Do you expect a little tighter group?
Well, they better be.
Yeah.
But in theory, they should be. Now, the Oilers, and I've written it, we've talked about it all year, Al. The Oilers were awful defensively for the first 2 months. And then they got their asses handed to them against Dallas. They gave up 8 goals to Dallas. And that seemed to be like, okay, enough's enough. We're going to wake up. Then they had a shutout. And then they went 25 games where they were third best in the NHL, goals against average at 2.56. They were top 5 in high danger chances against for those 25 games. They had a really good stretch. It wasn't just like goaltending was standing on their head. It was good. And then they lost to Pittsburgh. And in 11 games since, it's been an absolute disaster. They've allowed 50 goals.
It's nuts.
In 11 just games.
Is.
And the system hasn't changed drastically.
No.
The players haven't changed drastically. That's just a sheer commitment. But I think it does help. And I want to get the exact quote, Al, because the quote, I really like it because Dickinson today when he spoke, he talked about just quote, my favorite thing about what I do is seeing the frustration come out of the guys on the other side. Right. So you sense that as a player, you know, when the guys are getting annoyed. Like I know some Oilers fans, they showed a video, like I shouldn't say some, like one Oilers fan, like, I can't believe the Oilers acquired this guy. And they showed him wrestling with, not even wrestling with McDavid, just tying him up and frustrating the hell out of him. Like,
That's
you
his
should
job.
be doing cartwheels that you have a guy that now can be, and it's a weird, like there's agitators, like Greer pisses people off, and, you know, Zach Cassian does it, and obviously Brad Marchand. And there's guys that are agitators, Matthew Tkachuk. But then there's Dickinson, who just checks you as an agitator in your hip pocket. And for a skilled guy, when you're going through the game and you're getting no chances and you're not generating much, that's when they get frustrated. So the fact that you have a guy who thrives in that, Al, to me, that can be infectious, right? Like, and I hope that Murphy, Oilers fans are going to probably be watching the game tonight. Hey, what's going on in front of the net? Like, our defensive guys actually working over one of the opposing forwards. What the hell is this? like honestly, Oilers fans are probably, you know, they're going to clean their eyes out here, wash my glasses. What am I seeing? Is that actually somebody working over a guy in front of the net? And that's what Murphy does. So I do think that those elements will help the team. But Al, Dickinson doesn't play on the top line, doesn't play in the second line.
No.
So he can't make those lines play better defensively. They've got to choose to do it. And they've done it in the past, but it's literally, they've got to flip the switch and be like, okay, let's concentrate on being better defensively. And it's got to start now, because look at their next 4 games.
Oh, man, they got to win some of those.
They play Vegas, leads their division, and the top 3 teams in the NHL in points in Colorado and Carolina and Dallas.
Yeah. Not exactly easy street. All right, we'll take a break. This is trade deadline coverage brought to you by Booster Juice on Sports 1440 and YouTube.
Mr. Rooter kinda speaks French.
Je m'appelle Monsieur Rooter. Je suis plombier.
Très bien, Mr. Rooter. Your name is Mr. Rooter, and you are in fact a plombier, a plumber. You are an excellent student.
Au contraire, mon frère, je suis un excellent étudiant. Also, I'm not here for a French lesson. I'm here because someone clogged up the toilets.
Ah, oui, right this way.
For a plumber who speaks your language, call Mr. Rooter.
What if you could hire motivated, safety-trained youth with no risk and funding to support you? At Careers the Next Generation, we make hiring easy with funded internships across Alberta in trades, IT, forestry, and more. Interns are WCB covered, complete high school accredited.
Carried right back out again by Schwartz. Rolled back down. Tarasenko steps to it. Tarasenko steps.
Couldn't clear. Kemping. Fiala. Blocked. Loose. I field with it. Here's Fiala. A shot. Block. Rebound. Score. Corey Perry. His first as a King. And LA's on the board. Well, now
That's like the olden days with Patty Waugh, Marty Brodeur. Yeah, played 72 a game a season. Hits Jeff. Gets his 250th goal and makes it 2-0 Hawks. Nick, as it should, a face-off.
For info, call Alan Olson Auctions at 403-843-2747 or visit alanolsonauction.com.
The Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440. Author, musical connoisseur, sports know-it-all. Yes, a man for all seasons.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
It's 12:42. This is the Lowdown Special Edition Trade Deadline. We're brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick. Check them out, wolfgmcbuick.com. We're making it easy. It's been a little bit quiet for the Oilers. They did a lot of good work previous to today, picking up their checking center, Jason Dickinson. They got Connor Murphy, right defenseman, who's going to play tonight. Looking forward to watching him play. And Doc, who's going to be an energy forward, and we'll see how that goes. May or may not be done. We'll keep you updated as the afternoon rolls along. Jason Krueger joining me. When we talk about the teams, now it's not done yet. There are teams making moves all the time here. But in terms of upgrading in the Pacific Division, I like what Anaheim did with Carlson. I like what Edmonton has done. San Jose is interesting. But in the Pacific Division, who do you like most so far in terms of moves they've made to improve their club?
Yeah, the John Carlson one's interesting for me. He's going to bring a lot of experience to the Anaheim Ducks. They give up a ton. He should help them, though. That they don't have a lot of puck transporters now. Or puck, like, Trouba and Gudas are really hard-nosed guys. I really like Jackson Lacombe, but after Lacombe, there's not a lot of great puck movement. So I think that should help them. I like that move, but I like Edmonton's moves because it's two guys and it's in positions of huge need for them. Vegas, I'm not sure how much Dowd has left. Like Dowd 2 years ago would have been a guy I'd have been all over.
Right.
And
he was the third in the group, right? Like Waugh, Dowd, and Dickinson, but he was the third
sure.
in the group.
2 years ago, he probably was the best.
Yeah.
But he's kind of, he's hit that 35-year-old wall a little bit. So, and Vegas, I thought their biggest weakness was defense.
Yeah.
And, it's funny, Rasmus Andersson, I know it's early, but man, Rasmus Andersson is having a whole lot of struggles in Vegas. Him and Hannafin, like it hasn't, you look at their numbers, it's kind of shocking that because they were a pretty good pair together in Calgary. So I'd probably still say Edmonton because they got two guys to fill a real need. Doc's a little bit of a wild card, and I still think Doc's maybe more of a future ad, but if he comes in and just hits everything that moves and creates some positive momentum shifts, well, that's a win too, because they didn't have a lot of that on their fourth line. Like, I'll say this, it's not like can he score less than Janmark? It's going to be hard.
No, that's true. And Janmark, shoulder surgery, we believe, Spec reporting that earlier today, out for the season, and we'll see him in the fall. I get a lot of texts online and at the blog and other places. People are disappointed the Oilers didn't add a skill winger. But the top two lines, Jason, I mean, Nuge, Hyman with McDavid. Leon has two sets of wingers. He could run with Roslovic and Savoy or Podkolzin or Kapanen when Kapanen is healthy. You could add somebody there, but you don't have to force the issue. Fair?
Yeah, you don't have to force it at all. And really, like, hey, it's not over, right? Because I know there's 13 minutes until the deadline, but you know what? We've always seen trades come in right until 1. And really, we've had trades come in until 1:30, quarter to 2 at time. Maybe not this year. We'll see. But because look at it. Blake Coleman hasn't been traded yet. Bobby McMahon hasn't been traded. Lawton hasn't been traded. There's quite a few guys who were rumored and like, what is Toronto doing if they don't trade those guys? Right? Like, honestly, it's like, wow. And I could see a team playing hardball with you. And this is where it comes down. Do I give away Bobby McMahon for a third if I really wanted a second?
Right.
Do I do that?
No.
Like, is it really worth it to me? Or would I say, hey, let's try to re-sign the guy? Like, that's the part of the GM's job that becomes difficult. To just accept a third instead of a second, you're kind of like, well, geez. And so that's, and the other team though is like, well, I really want him. Do I walk away from Bobby McMahon over a second rounder?
Yeah.
Right. So that's going to be there's two sides to it. And then there's always a little bit of, is the other side going to blink?
Yeah. It's, Did you have pause, just like I did there? Do you have pause that Tree Living is in charge of this deadline, or do you think he'll be there next season as GM?
Ooh, I'd be surprised if he's there next year, Al. Like, you look at, so if you had to evaluate the whole picture since he's took over, what would be the reasons to say, hey, this has gone well for us? The team's gotten farther away from the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
They've lost Mitch Marner. And essentially now they get a first rounder in a roundabout way because of the Nick Raw trade, right?
Yeah.
They might be losing, some other guys in free agency. Like Scotty Lawton signed there thinking he was going to sign an extension because everything was going to be great.
No.
It's not. There's way more questions than answers. And the trouble with Toronto is now, Al, Buffalo looks like they're a good team.
Yeah.
So there's a playoff spot that kind of was yours for a long time. Well, now they're in it.
Yeah.
And the Detroit Red Wings look improved. The Montreal Canadiens look improved. The Ottawa Senators should be higher in the standings if they would have even had average goaltending.
Yeah.
So, and they've actually had average goaltending here for the last 10 games, and look what's happening now, right? So not only do you have to get better, but now you're going to have to climb over teams to get back in it, and that's going to be hard.
When they lost Marner, when they dealt Marner, that to me wasn't that wasn't fatal, but they didn't get enough skill back. They needed another skill guy, I think. Now they got good players. I was a good player, but they didn't get. I think that they lost that key cog. Even a complementary offensive piece would have been good there. And then their defense just as constructed, I just don't think it ever had a chance. Stetcher went in there and he was like huge for them early because they had somebody who could actually move the puck. I know that they went away from Dubas because they thought he was too analytics based and that they didn't have enough grit, but I think they might have overreacted. And now what do you do? Because, Marner is gone. They still have, loads of talent, but not so much that you can't, you probably have to go into the summertime and add some significant pieces. And as Jason just said, I don't know that Tree Living will be the one to do it. It's going to be a fascinating year in Canadian NHL cities.
Yeah. Wow. There's Vancouver's a long ways away. Calgary's a long ways away. Winnipeg, I could see them turning around. They've got some talent.
Yeah, they do.
For sure.
Yeah,
right?
they do.
Toronto has some talent, but they got a lot of question marks. And I'm like, and look at the guy in Tanev, Al. And I know Oilers fans, they all rip me because I was like, I'm not trading Cody Ceci for Tanev because Tanev is always hurt.
Yeah.
It's always hurt. It's just a fact, right? You can say he's better at the top end, sure, but he's not available. And now his career, sadly, might be over. Like that.
Yeah,
the rumblings in Toronto was that. So you felt like you got a good defensive defenseman, but now you don't have him. And Morgan Riley hasn't worked out there. Like, who are the defensemen you're building around in Toronto? So you've got Matthews and you got Nylander. And like Austin Matthews, like, can we stop best goal scorer in the league? He's gone 10 games without a goal. Like, look at the season he's having. Like, there's a lot of things amiss in Toronto right now.
Do you think, I expect this, I'll ask you this. Darnell Nurse's no movement clause eases summer 2027. Got to get a list of teams. Do you think the Oilers might go to him this year, like this summer, and say, hey, listen, we have an opportunity?
I think it'll depend on how the playoffs go.
Okay. All right. That's fair. Yeah.
Right? I think, like, how do the playoffs go? How does Nurse play? Right? Like, when Darnell Nurse plays to his potential, right, you're fine. Yeah, he's $1 million overpaid. You live with it. Whatever.
But it's hard to get guys who skate that well and have that experience.
Yes.
So you can't just give them away.
No, exactly. And because I got to remember, so you're going to give away Nurse for what? Because you can't tell me you think you're going to get a great return if you're also saying the other side of your mouth that you think he sucks. Can't be both. So, and then Matthias Ekholm's getting older, right? Like, how many years does he have? So you have to balance that to say, how are we going to transition this? If we're just going to get rid of Nurse because we don't like him, and don't tell me that you'll just replace him in free agency, because how many really good players are going to free agency now? The cap is going up.
That's a great point you make. Guys are signing deals before they get to free agency, or they're being traded and then re-signed, as we saw with Panarin. So it's hard to get anybody. And defensemen, if you don't have them, you're screwed. You just are, because developing a defenseman, you got to draft them, you got to develop them, you got to get them to the NHL and wait a couple of years for them to make their mistake. Like, look at how good Ty Emberson is now compared to what he looked like when he came here. He's really improved. He's played. He's got the reps. He's, learned how to play as a little bit of an undersized defenseman in the NHL. And he's still up and down a little bit, but he's really improved. And I think that that has value. Giving talented young players playing time and having them learn on the job is vital, because once you coach them up, you need them for what will be their prime for 4 or 5 years, because you don't want to be replacing a defenseman every year.
No, and it's hard. Like, I understand that you can get frustrated with players, and I get it, right? But I don't care about the salary. Just does the player play up to his potential, right? And Darnell Nurse hasn't played to his potential. I will say, though, as much as there was a focus on Nurse, Wallman was just as much. Wallman arguably has been is more inconsistent, and all you got to do is actions speak louder than words. He got healthy. He got scratched for the third period.
And he said that. He owned up to it.
Yeah, he owned up to it. And I do think he's capable of it much more. But Nurse just needs to make some better decisions. And I do wonder if having Murphy, I expect Nurse and Murphy to play together in the penalty kill aisle. And I just wonder if there's a little bit of, he watches how Murphy does in front of the net. There's going to be video, and you're like, oh, just okay, maybe, because
he plays best when he's playing rugged, man. He does
like a dick. He's better on the ice when he's mean.
Yeah,
he just is.
Remember when he beat the daylights out of, who was the San Jose defenseman?
I can't. I know exactly. Yeah, I just ran him up. Got suspended for a game or two.
Yeah. But to me, the most effective Nurse is he's a little bit of a prick. You know. Yeah,
he's better that way.
Yeah.
So we're hearing that from Anthony DeMarco and others in Philly that the Flyers are done, and Rasmus Ristolainen did not get moved. So you look at the trade deadline here, Al, and unless there's some, now again, there's still 5 minutes left, plus some
extra
can trickle
time.
in.
Maroon, remember him that year? It was 20 after or whatever.
Yeah. But there's lots of players, like people thought it was for sure Blake Coleman was getting dealt. And it was Rasmus Ristolainen is getting dealt. And so there's a lot of teams, like some made moves, but like the Montreal Canadiens have shockingly done nothing.
Yeah.
Now they still have 5 minutes. But right now, to this point, when we're speaking, they've done nothing. And I have to say, that might be the biggest surprise of the day for me.
And there's still time, but your point is well taken. All right, Joe O'Donnell, while play-by-play broadcaster, will join us at 1 o'clock. Jason Strudwick, who used to hide during trade deadline when he was a player. I'm teasing. Not really, but kind of. So we'll talk to him about 1:20 or so.
Before we go to break, I'll give me one guy you think gets traded during the sports update or the first 15 minutes of the next hour.
Well, Braden Shen, because I know he's already traded.
No. Guy that hasn't been traded. I like their team because I think the St. Louis Blues, I think Justin Falk will get dealt. That's what I want. I think the Blues want to, like, they're trying.
Yeah.
And so I think he's a guy that'll get traded.
I'll say a right-handed center, but I don't have a name for you. How's that?
It's really vague, Al. It's really vague. Hey, guys, guess what? A forward's going to get traded.
I'm tweeting that out.
Yes, tweet that. Breaking news. Right shot center. I can't say his name. It's going to get traded. Like Blake Coleman.
Blake Coleman. That's what I'll give you, Blake. I can't believe he's not traded because I like him as a player.
Bobby McMahon, right? Like the thing about McMahon is, because I didn't think it'd be smart for Toronto to trade him. Because
you should sign him. Right?
Yes, you should sign him. They have tons of cap space. Like, what's he going to get? Like, I don't care if players. He's asking for this. Yeah, he's asking for that in March. Doesn't mean he's getting it in July.
Yeah.
It's happened all the time. And what about Evander Kane? So far, not traded.
But Kane
different. But like Evander Kane, this might be a wake up call for Kane that he's like, I might got to get in better shape here if I want to get back in the league.
Also, there's I think the Edmonton situation ended in a way where maybe people are going to be a little wary about that situation. All right. A Lowdown with Lowetide trade deadline edition brought to you by Booster Juice. Trade in that hunger for great tasting wraps and paninis. Also, acai bowls at Booster Juice today. Did I pronounce it right?
You did, buddy. And also, I looked it up. I remembered Roman Polak.
Oh, right. Just
what did he get? 2 games for that?
Yeah, I think he did. But he deserved it. He really pummeled the guy.
I still think Nurse, that was the worst suspension when he got a game and got the same suspension as Pietrangelo. The worst.
Yeah, I agree with that. That was a filthy play by Pietrangelo. Yeah. All right, Joe O'Donnell next hour, while play-by-play broadcaster Jason Stradrick as well, as we continue with our trade deadline coverage on Sports 1440 and YouTube. It's time for an update with Mackenzie.
Brought to you by Custom Floors Inc. Floors done right for homes or businesses. Visit the new showroom, 11577 149th Street. That's 11577 149th Street. Now open 6 days a week, Saturday hours from 10 to 2, or visit customfloorsinc.ca and bring your next flooring project to life. Hey, Declan here, by the way. NHL trade deadline moments away here. Notable trades on the day include Braden Shen to the New York Islanders, a to-be-determined first and third round pick going back to St. Louis. Braden Shen waiving his no trade clause to make that happen. Elmer Soderblom to Pittsburgh, and a 2026 third going back to Detroit. Timothy Liljegren to Washington from San Jose. Details still emerging on that one. Nick Delorier to the Hurricanes, 7th round pick going back to Philly. Corey Perry to Tampa Bay, a 2028 second, the return in that one, and Nick Foligno to the Minnesota Wild for future considerations. In case you missed it late last night, John Carlson for a conditional 2026 first and a 2027 third. John Carlson, of course, joining the Anaheim Ducks. NHL schedule, the Edmonton Oilers are in action today as they will play host to the Carolina Hurricanes. 7 p.m. puck drop for that one. Action gets going on the day at 5 with Florida and Detroit. In the NBA, Dallas and Boston kicking off the action at 5, as are Miami and Charlotte. Jason Tatum making his return 10 months after tearing his Achilles in the Dallas-Boston game. I'm Declan Krueger. In hour number 2, Lowetide and Jason will continue to break all things trade deadline down, and we'll be joined by Joe O'Donnell from Minnesota and Jason Strudwick. This has been your Sports 1440 update.
Here's the Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
It's a little after 1 o'clock. Sports 1440 trade deadline edition / Lowdown with Lowetide. We're brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick, family owned, community driven. We're making it easy. Visit wolfgmcbuick.com. A busy hour. We have Jason Strudwick just around the corner. We'll be talking to Struddy about trade deadlines of his past and what he's seen so far today. Joined now by Joe O'Donnell.
Just breaking, Bobby McMahon has been traded to the Pacific Division, the Seattle Kraken.
Aha. Well, we'll update you on what was received in two shakes. Joe O'Donnell joins us now, Wild play-by-play broadcaster. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Jason and Al, thanks for having me, guys. How are you?
Very well. You've got some new names to learn quickly. Minnesota Wild have been pretty active here, right?
Yeah, they have. Well, one of them I know already. It's Foligno. now we got two of them, fellas. Yeah, I think it's an exciting time for the Wild and their fan base, and has been really since the Quinn Hughes acquisition in the middle of December. And now, the deadline approaching and nearing its end here. Wasn't the big splash maybe that some fans hoped for. But I think what you got was a lot of depth to the organization, some versatile pieces. John Hines talked about the natural competitors that the players they acquired are. A lot of them have great experience, veteran players in this league, and they can play not only center and wing in some cases or provide depth on the blue line in the case of Jeff Petrie. So I think what the Wild did was really just give themselves a better chance to deal with an injury bug or a guy maybe not playing well. And it's going to make the coaching decisions really interesting here for John Hines and his staff. They've got more bullets to fire and more pieces to play with. And I think it's a nice job by Minnesota to do those things and not giving up a lot in the process.
Well, you look at, the guys that they've acquired here the last week. Bobby Brink today, of course, is a trade. Foligno for futures. Michael McCarron, Robbie Fabry. That's a lot of, new opportunities on the bottom six for the Wild. Let's start with Bobby Brink because, him for a year check. That's a guy that they were really happy to acquire last year. And obviously he just never got to play. And I think the Quinn Hughes deal was probably the final nail in his coffin. They just got too many better defensemen in front of him. But do you see Brink, do you see him in your top six, or do you see him playing with Urov?
I think he's going to be slotting on that third line in a perfect world. So right now, Marcus Johansson and Marcus Foligno are hurt for Minnesota as they play the Golden Knights tonight and the Avalanche Sunday. So we won't really get a full look at what things could be for Minnesota, maybe for at least a few days here. But again, I think it's just the versatility now. And John Hines said it, they're going to have to go to guys and have honest conversations over the last 20 regular season games and then into the playoffs, obviously, is going to be, there might be times where a guy's healthy and just pulled out of the lineup to give him a different look, whether it's a matchup thing or to give somebody another chance to see where they fit in. So a lot of moving pieces the next few weeks. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. I think in the case of Brink, though, he's a Minnetonka kid, so the Wild always seem to love the Minnesota boys, and for good reason. For a lot of times, they're certainly competitors. They certainly have the pedigree playing the high school hockey here and coming up through the ranks of Minnesota youth hockey. And so to get a kid like Brink here in his hometown team, he can score a little bit. He's still young in his career. I think it's an exciting move. I'm sure he'll be excited. And I know Matt Boldy played with him. Some Team USA stints and had great things to say about him when he talked with some of our media folks this morning.
Jiricek gone, young player, didn't really work. Where was he with the organization? And obviously great talent, drafted early, big guy, but it didn't work in Minnesota. It hasn't worked in the past. I guess a new opportunity for him in a new town.
Listen, I'm not going to sugarcoat this thing for you guys. It's on David Jiricek at this point, in my opinion.
Okay.
He has the size. He has the skill. He has the draft pedigree. He's now with his third NHL team at age 21, 22, whatever he is. He's played for a bunch of coaches in the minors, in the NHL. And I know when the Wild acquired him, it was, Columbus was kind of spinning. It's his skating. It's not his skating. It's David Jiricek above the shoulders, buying into team structure, buying into playing the right way, buying into not going rogue on a shift, not pinching when it's ill-advised, not throwing a puck up the middle of the ice when it's ill-advised. All the tools are there for David Jiricek. Good kid. Everybody here liked him. He just didn't work. The Wild gave him a chance. They wanted it to work. They thought, their coaches and their skill staff and their skating staff and their strength guys, they could get the most out of them. Hasn't happened. So good luck to Philadelphia, my hometown team. I just don't see it happening, guys. I know he's still 21, and there's a chance there. Again, I really like the kid in my interactions with him, and nobody here had a bad thing to say about him. But he's had 2 cracks at it now, and it hasn't worked. So hopefully this is the wake-up call for him. Hopefully somebody on their coaching staff can get him playing more in a team game for 60 minutes, not a blip here, a shift here, a game here. Like, he wants to be an NHL player. He has to show that he can stay within a team structure and do it for more than just a week at a time.
When you look at the Wild overall, you mentioned Quinn Hughes, and obviously he's been a massively impactful player for them. Can you accurately describe how much he's changed their team just by having such an elusive, offensive-minded defenseman?
It's really hard to put into words. You can look at all the numbers, analytics, or just the points per game from Hughes, or the fact that the Wild are basically, top 3 in the league in goals scored. Depending on the day, you update things and who's played and, all those games in hand that teams might have. But since December the 14th, his first game at the Wild, they're right there as far as most goals scored in the league. Their defensive points per game and points overall from the blue line have gone up massively since Hughes' arrival. He's a play driver. And yes, the Wild were looking for a top 6 center the last couple months, and appears they didn't really acquire that guy. But the addition of Hughes essentially gave them so much offense and so much play driving and shots and puck possession, helped the power play that, maybe they don't really need that top 6 center or didn't have the ammo to go get one. So his ability to come into this lineup seamlessly, play with Brock Faber, help the offense in so many ways, it has been remarkable. So much fun to watch, and he is as good. He's as good as was advertised when they got him, and it's so much fun to watch him play every night. Just the way he fits in with this group and gives them a confidence too that they're never out of a hockey game. It's been remarkable to see firsthand.
Oilers fans, Joe, look at the Minnesota Wild and their tandem in goal, and there's a little bit of jealousy, no doubt about that. Wallstead looks like the future. They are both playing extremely well. Got to give Wild fans a pretty good feeling knowing that you've got a .912 save percentage in Philip Gustafsson and a .911 in young Jesper Wallstedt, set for now and set for the future too.
Yeah, and Samuel Halavai played for Team Slovakia in the Olympics. He's in the Wild system playing for Iowa in the American League. So they do also have, Halavai at some point potentially could pan out at the NHL level as well. It's a good problem to have, certainly. And if Gus falters at all in a playoff series, I think they're very confident that Wallstedt can give them, what other guys in the last couple of years have with whether it was Fleury or when they had the Talbot and Fleury combo a few years back, and you felt comfortable, after maybe a tough start or a game that a goalie didn't give his best stuff, or if you endure an injury between the pipes, you'll have a kid in Wallstedt that's gotten enough experience this year, has proven he's good at this level. I just think it gives Minnesota, again, they feel like right now, guys, they have depth forward, defense, and in net that maybe a lot of teams don't have.
Well, hey, the Wild, the last one really is the division now, and that's where they set their sights on, right? You got Dallas, who's won 10 in a row, and is 6 back suddenly of Colorado, and Minnesota's only 3 back of Dallas. Like, you don't want to finish third. That's like the worst spot to be in. You at least want home ice like this. There's a lot to play for in 20 games for the Wild.
There is. I don't know that I necessarily agree with that. You have to have first home ice in the first round. I think for a couple of weeks now, a lot of folks, maybe even longer than that, it felt like, all right, April 18th or whatever the date's going to be, the Wild and the Stars are going to play. But where's the puck going to be dropped in game one? Is it going to be Minnesota or is it going to be Dallas? It's kind of felt like that for a while. Things can change. Maybe Colorado falters. Maybe Dallas is able to pass them. The Wild do play the Avs again for the last time this season coming up on Sunday. They have Dallas, I think, twice more on the schedule, once home, once road. So there's still a little bit to be settled there. But I think ultimately what the Wild need to look at is, are they going to be healthy going into the middle, tail end of April? And are they going to be playing the right brand of defensive hockey? Can they get these new pieces to gel figure out what the lines and D pairs look like. And again, with good help, I think they can beat anybody in the Central Division. I really do. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be a cakewalk by any means. It might not even be the favorite. But I think they should go into a playoff series against Colorado or Dallas in round one, whoever it is, because looking it's going to be that way with some utmost confidence that maybe they haven't had in a few years.
Sean texts us and says it's going to be the Wild versus the Sabres in the Cup final. Big time Wild fan is Sean. I mean, I'd like to see that because the Wild to me are from the state of hockey, and there's been 2 NHL franchises there, no Stanley Cup, one in Minnesota. It would be great to see a final between 2 teams that do not yet have a Stanley Cup championship. It must feel like Minnesota Wild are in the window, though. They're that strong.
I agree. I think the fan base feels that. I think with the pickup of Quinn Hughes back in December, like we talked about, it gave a jolt to everybody in the organization, from the veteran players through the coaching staff to the fan base, that they're now a different team. They have a different look. And now with the moves they've made the last 72 hours to just add some depth and really give this team a better chance for what's going to be a war of attrition in the Stanley Cup playoffs, no matter who you're playing and when you play them. But if you think it's, if that listener thinks it's Sabres and Wild, I'm here in Vegas. I mean, that's ever time to get a ticket on that Stanley Cup future. Tell them I'll place it for them.
Thanks for this. Appreciate it very much.
Guys, always appreciate it, and look forward to talking down the line.
There you go. Joe O'Donnell, Wild play-by-play broadcaster. Interesting stuff.
So a few things to add. So Jonathan Drouin was part of that deal that was a first and a third, and Drouin to go into St. Louis for Shen.
No.
And also the Kings have acquired Scott Lawton from Toronto. If you miss it, Bobby McMahon is going to Seattle for a second and a fourth. Ryan Strome is going from Anaheim to Calgary.
The build starts now.
Yes, for a 7th round pick. So that's a salary dump. I wonder, did the Ducks have something else here in the hopper that might be enough? I wouldn't be surprised if they move him and then it gets Kane from Vancouver. That's just going to be a guess.
Actually, that's Holland. Somebody had talked about him going to the Kings.
So that no, going to the Ducks.
Going to the Ducks.
Right?
Sorry.
That wouldn't shock me. I'm not saying it's for sure. That's just me kind of. And then the Justin Falk deal is Justin Falk going to Detroit for a first, a third, and Justin Hall, who's been buried in the minors, he goes to St. Louis. So the Blues trade 2 guys. They get 2 firsts and 2 thirds from Falk and Shen. And lots of late deals coming in here. So Scott, they do finally get rid of Scotty Lawton and Bobby McMahon, which kind of seemed like an obvious thing to do. And like I said, you don't get bonus points for trading at Thursday or Wednesday. As long as you make the deals before the deadline, that's when we can sit there. And, there might be even a few more. It sounds like Vancouver's got a few deals that are pending here. So they'll still keep trickling in this hour. So stay tuned to our coverage here, brought to you by Booster Juice.
Jason Strudwick is on the way. Jason always told me that when he was an active player, every deadline he was worried because wherever he played, in the city he played, he had a Subway buy 10, get 1 free program, and he'd get a physical punch card and get to 7 and he'd get traded, which kind of screwed him over. So we'll talk to Struddy about that and trade deadlines on the way. This is Deadline coverage on Sports 1440 and YouTube.
Local Play Alberta winner scored over $500,000 on Mega Jackpots Ocean Bells. Think about the season tickets you could lock down with that kind of cash. From major casino winners every hour to jackpots worth millions and hundreds of popular games to money that stays in the province, there's never been a better time to sign up for Play Alberta. Download the app today to get started with casino, sports, and lottery all in one app. Must be 18 plus to play. When you gamble, use your game sense.
60 years ago, we started selling trucks as Western GMC Buick. Today, we are Wolf GMC Buick. We're still located on the corner of 184th Street and Stony Plain Road with the same ownership for over 2 decades. Our customers have trusted our family-owned, community-driven business. And for that, we are thankful. If you're looking for a truck or SUV, pop in and one of our seasoned professionals will get you a great deal, hassle-free. Come trust our team at Wolf GMC Buick. Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy.
Japa Machinery Group knows that XCMG may not roll off the tongue, but Japa's team will help keep your construction jobs rolling on time and on budget with heavy equipment sales and rentals. Visit japamachinery.com to find out more.
Business owners, if rising electricity costs are cutting into your profits, there's a smarter way forward. Right now, federal clean technology tax credits can cover 30 to over 50% of the cost of a commercial solar system, delivering an immediate return on your investment. And in Edmonton and Sturgeon County, the Commercial Clean Energy Improvement Program offers long-term financing for up to 20 years, making solar more affordable than ever. Lock in lower energy costs for decades and strengthen your bottom line. Visit GreatCanadianSolar.com to get started.
Getting your vehicle sparkling clean doesn't have to cost a fortune. Take it into Hughes today and pay just loonies a wash.
Find us at HughesCarWash.com.
This hockey season, before every game, check out the pregame show with Andrew Walker on Sports 1440. It's brought to you by Titan Supply, your only source for rigging, lifting, and hauling products. Visit titansupply.ca.
Come for Canada's largest trade shows, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. And stay for the experience at the Edmonton Expo Centre. Looking for the perfect place to host your next big event? From trade shows to galas, meetings, and concerts, the Edmonton Expo Centre has the space, event expertise, and service to make your next event unforgettable. With over 522,000 square feet of flexible event space, in-house catering, and operational expertise, they bring your biggest vision to life. Learn more at EdmontonExpoCenter.com today.
For many families, the stress of divorce can throw your life out of balance. The loss of a relationship, ongoing conflict, mounting legal bills, and uncertainty about the future can feel overwhelming. Hi, I'm Corey Anderson with Fairway Divorce Solutions. At Fairway, our team helps you restore balance through mediation, negotiation, and a unique step-by-step process. With 2 offices in Edmonton dedicated to serving your needs, our goal is simple: to help you navigate a path back to peace and clarity. Visit us today at Fairway Divorce.
Mission Norel and Auctioneering's next Calgary, Edmonton, Winnipeg Public Unreserved Heavy Truck Auction is next Thursday at 9 a.m. with tandem and single-axle trucks including tractors, decks, dumps, man lifts, plows, vacs, pickers, refuse and shunt trucks, plus more. Info at maauctions.com.
From the local rinks to homes and businesses across the province, Alberta's rural natural gas utilities are here to fuel life affordably, reliably, and safely. We're members of the Federation of Alberta Gas Co-ops, providing natural gas to keep our rural neighborhoods warm and connected every day. It's local, dependable, and it's ours. To learn more about the Federation of Alberta Gas Co-ops and our members, and how natural gas fuels your community, visit fedgas.com. Alberta's energy. Game on.
Mission Norel and Auctioneering's next Calgary, Edmonton, Winnipeg Public Unreserved Heavy Truck Auction is next Thursday at 9 a.m. with tandem and single-axle trucks, including a special dispersal of 3 unused 2024 Kenworth T880 tandem cab and chassis trucks. Info at maauctions.com.
Booster Juice is going crazy for hazelnuts.
No, not crazy. Nuts.
Booster Juice is going bananas for hazelnuts.
I mean, there are bananas in smoothies, but that's not the point.
Banana juice is booster for hazelnuts.
What? Just stop.
Booster Juice is going nuts for hazelnut. Introducing the Nutty Monkey Smoothie, Holy Hazelnut Acai Bowl, and Nutty Booster Ball, all made with rich, creamy hazelnut spread. Try them today, only at Booster Juice. Canadian born, blending since 1999.
The Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440. Can you fit sports encyclopedia on a business card?
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
Sports 1440 special trade deadline coverage continues. Brought to you by Booster Juice. Trade up for your lunches for deliciously fueling smoothies and food. Visit Booster Juice today. We are now joined by Jason Strudwick, who still gets cards from U-Haul from his days in the NHL with the trade deadline. Always worried about it. Struddy, did you get traded at the trade? I always tease you about this, but did you get traded at the trade deadline?
Only one team had the honor of trading for me, and I was really young. I had like one ill-fitting suit and 3 sticks that probably weren't the right size. So it was the easiest trade I ever had. Like I had nothing. I had nothing to move over.
But your Subway card that you got key punched, you had 7 of them done and you didn't get the last 3, so you didn't get your free Subway.
No, it's true, because in the States it's different than in Canada. So they don't recognize each other, right? So I had to start all over again.
Let's start here. The Oilers got a big defenseman who I'm sure you can relate to and appreciate. What do you think the Oilers did? Do you think they did enough, and do you like who they got?
Well, I think they did what they could, right? I mean, they had to plug some holes, specific holes. And I think the biggest thing that people aren't talking about, when this team skates out for warm-up, they're going to look a lot bigger, right? To me, they've looked pretty small. And you look at some of the changes, if it's Janmark and Doc in, you look at now Trent Frederick, you got Dickinson's a big human, and Lazar out. I mean, these are significant size upgrades. I think size matters. I don't want to be that guy that doesn't like little people. I think they're cute. But when it comes to hockey, I like big hockey players. And this would be a big thing for them. Now, I'll be really interested to see how they use Dickinson. Who's he with? How does his ice time look like? And then for, obviously, Murphy, like, people out there understand this isn't a saver. This isn't Chris Pronger coming in here, but he'll still roll. And if most nights you don't really notice him and he plays 17, 16 minutes, great. That's a good outcome. He's even or +1, a block shot, a couple hits, and he killed 3 minutes of penalties. Sign me up.
Strutty, Murphy comes in. He's talked about how the penalty kill, what they run in Chicago, is really no different than in Edmonton. He really raved about the continuity. They ran 2 D-men and 2 forwards, together a lot of the time. And I know you can't do it every penalty kill because, maybe some guy was on the ice and he's too tired, so it doesn't start. I understand it. But do you think the Oilers need to, like, Nurse, I think, is going to start with Murphy, and then you get Dickinson, and you got to find him a regular partner and just run with those. And Murphy and Dickinson and whoever they are paired with should be starting the majority of the penalty kills.
So, yeah. So all things being equal, that this guy didn't take a penalty or this group wasn't out there, I think you start the same for every time, right? Especially because one thing is it's been really struggling, but 2, you have new people. So Murphy and Dickinson know they're going over the bench, and it's with Nurse, and let's say it's with, I don't know, Kapanen, just to throw a name out there, or whatever you want to do. And maybe this means less penalty kill time for McDavid, right? And I don't think that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
For him to not be out there. Same with Bouchard. Maybe he gets less penalty kill time. I think it's a good thing if Wallman doesn't get any penalty kill time. But I think all these things add up. But you want to make sure that you have. I know I'm going out there. And there was certain times in my career where I was the first unit out there, and I knew it. Penalty, I'm jumping over, do my bucket up, splash of hair, water in my hair, and I'm out the door. And I love that feeling because you know it's you, and you take ownership of it. And those 4 guys take ownership. That's their identity, and that's how I'm helping this team.
For a guy like Spencer Stastny, who looks like the number 7 guy now, from the point of view of a young player, I know you were young a long time ago, and sometimes you were not a healthy scratch, but you were learning. Is that a difficult thing? Because he's played a lot here and he's played well enough, but now there's a new circumstance. Is that a difficult transition, or do you just roll with the flow?
Terrible feeling. I mean, everyone's excited because your team got better, except the guys that got squeezed out. So Spencer Stastny got squeezed out for a while. I mean, with injury, Lazar's out. So it changes, right? It changes everything. So you've got to be a good teammate, and you keep flashing a smile. But on the inside, I wouldn't say you're pissed off, but you're disappointed because you helped get the team here. Now, where the Oilers are right now aren't elite. But when I was at the Rangers, we traded for a D-man from St. Louis. Everyone was so thrilled. Yes, we got this guy. And I'm like, yeah, this is great. I'll be watching upstairs. Like, it was just brutal. And it hurts. But the good thing is he's relatively young. He will get a chance to play. I have a hard time seeing him sitting there the next 20 games. I'm sure he'll maybe take some time from Emerson at some point, or maybe they're trying to get their group together. But yeah, it does suck. But you got to be a good teammate. That's the job.
Strutty, you look around the league. Was there any trade today that caught your eye that you think a team significantly improved?
Well, I the Connor Garland one, I'm surprised by that. Like a second and third rounder. Like what was going on? Like I know his contract kicked in this year coming up, but I was really surprised. I thought there'd be a little bit more there. I like Connor Garland as a player. Now, smaller gentleman, but I think he plays like a lot bigger guy. And then the one that just one of the most recent ones, at least, is Shen going to Islanders. Really good player, good leader. He just feels like an Islander kind of player. If that's there's such a thing. He's got good character. He does everything right. Patrick Roy's going to love him there. And what a change for that group once they got Matt Schaefer.
It feels like a few teams, and we're going to find out here if like Montreal made a move, or other clubs that maybe look a little quiet now. Maybe Carolina did something else. I don't know. But are you surprised that some of the teams that are were definitely contenders didn't do more?
Well, I know I haven't checked the last 10 minutes, but has Vegas done anything goalie wise?
No, nothing goalie wise. The only move they did was Nick Dowd.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And it helps. But, I look at their goaltending situation. They have numbers, but no one really seems to be going for it. And I look at the specific division, like who is the tiger in this division? I don't know who it is. It might be the Ducks, which is pretty crazy, but they play pretty high event hockey. So, would a goalie help them there? I guess they would have 3, but, going back to the Oilers, I mean, if they can just tidy up their own zone and their rush chances against, they're probably the favorite in this division. So, yeah, I mean, I think there's a huge opportunity for somebody, because you're going to get to the third round, the Western Conference Final, and someone's might have to play 2 stud teams in the Central, and you'll get them. I don't think those will be quick 4 or 5 gamers, and they'll be physical. So I feel pretty confident if I can get through this and trying to take on a really good Central team.
Yeah, like I look at the Oilers. I think them and Minnesota are the teams that improved the most in the Western Conference. I really like for Detroit. Justin Falk's going to fill a big hole on that team. I like that acquisition for Detroit. I'm stunned, Struddy. The Montreal Canadiens did nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so are you thinking goaltender or center?
Both.
Yeah.
Right? Like, don't you think they needed to do something?
I think so, but I think this tells me they didn't think that they were just 2 players away from taking a run, right? Maybe they don't think they're that close. So they're like, well, then we won't do anything. Like, they have that young, what's that guy, Fowler or something? Maybe he's the guy for next year.
Yeah, maybe, but that's
so maybe they're like, we're at the beginning. They're at the beginning, I think, of their run here, or what could be a good run. You like their D, you like, some of their forwards for sure. And then some of those guys are going to age out and they'll replace, like an Anderson or Brendan Gallagher. Some of these guys will age out and they'll replace those guys with other guys because they're pretty big cap hits. So maybe they thought, you know what, we'll just stand pat, let this group get in the playoffs. And I'm guessing they'll probably lose in the first round again, TBD who they play. But that's all I can think of, Greg.
Do you think Bobrovsky's name was out there, and I know he's like 10 mil, but take a swing is maybe the return was, the ask was too much. Are you surprised if he was in fact available that he didn't move?
Well, I think it's that you just said it, man. That's a big purse to try to bring into your party, right? Like, so even if it's $5 million, that's a pretty hefty number. And then, Bob hasn't been great. And I know that his team hasn't been great in front of him either, but, that's a lot. Maybe in a company like last year, if you could have split that twice, maybe I'd feel more comfortable making that deal. But $5 million, that's a lot, I think, at this time of year to try to squeeze in.
Yeah, wow. Jason Strudwick joins us. Struddy, what about Dickinson? And he comes in, he's going to start with Podkolzin and Frederick on the third line. It could be a fast, heavy third line. Dickinson, I love this comment. He goes, man, one of the things I love about my job is when you see the frustration on the other side, right? And I know I've heard you talk about that, right? Like when you're a defensive player, that's your juice, man. You're just like, oh, I think he used to say, oh, guys, I get so horny over it when a guy would go to the bench, he's slamming his stick, and you can just tell him you got a guy rattled. And the Oilers haven't had guys who talk like that, right? And I don't believe that you just talk like that. You really believe it, right? And do you think it can be infectious? Because I know this group can play better than they've been lately. Like, my God, your U17 team might be better defensively right now than the Oilers have been in the last 11 games. I think the Oilers can play better. Can a Dickinson and Murphy, just by osmosis, can that rub off, do you think, on other guys?
Yeah, no, I think it can. I didn't hear that quote from him, and I love it. And so what I used to say is I used to get off on thinking that I just made an offensive player have a bad day. Like, I love that feeling. And I think back to times where I saw, like he just mentioned, on their face, they're like, my God, this is painful. And you want to have that. So I believe the center, I believe, for the most part, creates the identity of a line. Trent's been looking for it, I think, all year, Podkolzin, and I love him. And I think he's like a chameleon. Like, what do you need me to do? Oh, you want me to forecheck, fight, and take pucks to the net? I can do that. So I have high expectations for that line. Really big guys. Think of how big those guys are. And if we can, get the physicality off the wingers, and Dickinson kind of does what he does in the middle, that would be a really, really tough line. And it's not, I don't know how much they're going to score. I mean, I think they'll chip in, but that team or that group will set the table for the next line. And, so let's say they're out there against, first or second line, they spend that time in the offensive zone. Who's up? Connor, your line, you just spent 40 seconds in the offensive zone. You guys are going to go out there and either you're going to score or maybe draw a penalty. So, I think back to when they had Brown, Henrique, and Janmark on the third line. Fast, smart players. This is, smart players, obviously, but a lot bigger and a lot more physical than those guys. So really different look, but I'm looking forward to seeing these guys in action tonight.
Starting late last night, John Carlson was traded from Washington to Anaheim. And I wanted your former player opinion on what that might do in Washington. You're saying goodbye to obviously a storied teammate, part of the, they'll walk together forever. And on the Anaheim side, your management has just really said, we believe in you. So from both sides, what kind of an impact does that trade have at the deadline?
Well, I mean, that's a legacy player, right? I mean, he's been there for how long? Was it 14 or 15 years? Basically the leader in all their categories defensively. And a good friend of Ovi. You see some of Ovi's comments today. That's a tough one, right? And actually, the first thing I thought of was Jason Krueger, and I try not to think about him ever. But when
can't get out of your mind, though.
When you talked about Brent Seabrook, remember when you signed that contract and you said teams have to make hard decisions, and they signed Seabrook, and it didn't work out, right? He was near the end of his career, and so I immediately thought of you. I'm like, this is a hard decision that group made, or that management made, because the team, obviously Ovi won't be happy, and everyone's like, geez, we're not too far of a playoff spot. This is a pretty good D-man we're giving up. Now, the flip side for that is that, Carlson, obviously he was able to go there because it was on his no trade. But, that team's excited because they added a good player who's a Stanley Cup winner. And they have others on that team that are Stanley Cup winners, and also other guys that have gone deep in the playoffs like Chris Kreider and Trouba. So, man, Pat Verbeek quietly done a really good job there, and that's a really good addition. I don't know where he plays. Like, does he play probably not beside Jackson Lacombe, because isn't Lacombe and Trouba together? So I don't know where he might play, but maybe he plays a little bit further down the third pairing. But either way, they got a really good player there, and I'm that makes it a little bit harder for the Oilers for sure.
When you look at the trades today, there's 15, 22 players, 12 picks. I'm just looking at the original trade tracker and what didn't move. Is this a function of the closeness of the standings and the fact that the cap's going to go up big time this summer, and maybe some of the teams that are kind of in the mushy middle didn't want to buy or sell and are more looking forward to the summer?
Well, I mean, I think it has to do with that double trade, that retention. That makes a big difference. You think about some of the deals people are getting on that. I think that is significant, that deal there. And then, there's some teams that are kicking around, but maybe but Kadri didn't get traded, right? Is that correct?
No.
Yeah. So that to me blows my mind. You trade Mackenzie Weegar, who, he's a really good D-man. He had him for 6 years, and his age isn't too crazy. It wasn't like he's 35. You have Nazem Kadri. I would have traded him, and I know maybe the price wasn't what you wanted, but at some point you got to move on and get what you can and start building up again. So that one for me is a real surprise. Now maybe they push on to the summer, but accept it. We're going to have to eat $2 million, or you get Nazem Kadri 4.5 or 5. You're probably pretty happy. Eat the $2 million.
Yeah. Well, I guess it always comes down to, what was offered, right? I think teams will probably be more willing to trade for Kadri in the offseason, Struds, when you have months to figure out your cap. I agree with you on, I never understood, I understood what the NHL was thinking, but they basically penalized teams twice by putting in the fact that if you trade a player at the deadline, but come playoff time, he's half his salary. So, regardless of what it is, that's what his salary is going to be, right? And I think that you could have still done retention to get to the regular season, but it wouldn't have helped you in the playoffs, right? But it might have helped some teams get there. So it was almost like a double penalty, and I didn't really understand that. So, we'll see. It definitely lowered some I think teams in play, but like a Blake Coleman, how did he not get traded? That one's probably the surprising one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Carolina, lastly, they're in town tonight. They're a very good team, Struddy. But the Hurricanes are who the Hurricanes are. They don't have an elite forward. They work really hard, but they're like the same team every year. And their trade deadline acquisition was to get tougher on the fourth line. Like I'll say this, Carolina, to me, that's a dud trade deadline for them.
Yeah. So Carolina, and you and I have talked about this, Greg, is that they play playoff hockey all year. So can they elevate? Like if you look at the Oilers and Carolina together, not that, are the Oilers Stanley Cup tender? I don't know. It's TBD. But right now, who has a better chance of elevating their play? It's 1,000% the Oilers.
Yes.
Whereas Carolina, how much more are you going to squeeze out of these guys? Right? How much more? And Rod Bindemore's a really good coach. The players love him. Everyone talks about him and the way he coaches. But you can't get more out of them. So, last year, they got just hammered by Florida. And just Florida has another gear. The the Hurricanes don't. And I think that is always going to be why they're always going to be good. But they're not. I don't know that they can get to the final. I don't know if they can elevate any more than they have already.
All right, we're going to let you go. I know you're training Edmonton and Northern Alberta's young defensemen. Are any of these kids going to make the NHL, Struddy?
Well, I mean, what do you need? Left shot, right shot, offensive, defensive? What do you want? I mean, you tell me, LT, right?
It's a factory, Struddy. It's a factory you're running over there.
It's like Notre Dame Hounds in like 1980, 1990. That's what I'm creating over here.
Now, Struddy, I got a text though.
Oh boy.
Did you have a wipeout at practice recently? Are you doing okay?
No, I haven't. No,
okay.
I haven't. I am so light on my feet. Our head coach did. He don't want me telling you. He blew a real big time.
Maybe that's who it was. Okay.
Slipped on a banana peel. I was like, whoa. Lucky he's not too tall. He's not far to fall.
I had my first wipeout today at practice. Crashed pretty hard in the boards. But you know what? You could never and my elbow's killing me. It landed right on my elbow. But you can't stop to pop right up. Don't tell any of the kids. Yeah. But I didn't notice it until I got in the car. And then I went to bend my elbow. I'm like, oh my God. Oh, the old no elbow pad smacker right on the ice.
The good thing for you, Struddy, is you just don't go that fast anymore. So it's not a fast collision, right?
Buddy, you know me. I was always a thinking man's player, right? That's so why go fast if you can just outsmart everyone? Be there first.
How often do you think about the shift, Struddy?
Oh, you know what? Too often. People remind me. People are real pricks, right? They're like, hey, remember that time you had a 4-minute shift? Yeah. How many shifts did you have in the NHL? Now I'm getting aggressive, right? I'm getting aggressive in my retort.
if I'm not going to name the player, but if he had been where he was supposed to be when you got the puck, you could have sent it to him.
Fernando Pizzani, I'll call him out. He was never 2 times I could have passed him. One time it was on the tape, and there was a guy within 10 feet of him, so he thought he was going to get hit, so he got out of the way. So the next time he wasn't where he was supposed to be. Talk about he ruined my career. Him and Tom Gilbert single-handedly just destroyed my reputation, and now here I am suffering for it still years later.
If it's Struddy, I would disagree. The shift has given you more talk in your career than any other moment.
That's right.
Right?
Even the shootout's not as famous.
The shootout never gets, like Marek Malik, like he screwed you over in the shootouts. But these guys actually help you, man. Like that shift lives in infamy on YouTube.
Yeah. I'll tell you a funny story. So Connor, one of his first year, the first year he got on the hockey game, right? Like, what is it called? The
NHL 25 or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever his year was, right? So the owner said, hey, we just have to do a video. Would you be okay if you came out and just skated with your kid, like your team and your kids' teams, and we get video? I'm like, no problem. So I'd never met Connor before. He comes in, he's like, hey, Struddy, great to see you and all that. He's like, man, nudes were just showing me your shift. That was brutal. First thing he said to me, I'm like, and the kids are like, they were like 8. They're like, what's he talking about? I don't know what he's talking about. I'm like, just get in line, Connor. Get in the back of the line. You're not going. It was every time I think of him, I think of that. I'm like, that was so funny. What a kick in the nuts.
Awesome. Struddy, have a good one, buddy. We will chat with you. Good luck in the playoffs.
Yeah, thanks for talking. We'll talk to you guys later.
There you go. One of the funniest people I've ever met. Just an absolute killer, hilarious guy, Jason Strudwick. When you get a chance to look back at this trade deadline, it's interesting for the players that did move, but the teams and players that didn't make a move or didn't make a substantial move. You mentioned Carolina, Montreal as well. And there's some sellers who didn't really, maybe didn't make a move. And I do wonder about terms of contract and that sort of thing. The Oilers went into the day thinking that they were, probably going to be quiet, and they were, but they did their business earlier in the week and got it done with. And as it turns out, they'll be on the ice tonight in a very important game against Carolina. Gregor's show coming up starting at 2:00. We got the pregame as well, postgame with Walker as well. Are you on with Walker? Who's on with Walker tonight? Okay, awesome. All right, we'll take a break. This is trade deadline coverage on Sports 1440 and YouTube.
Whether you're a craft beer connoisseur or more of a wine aficionado, there's always something new to discover at Sherbrooke Liquor, a unique, family-owned, independent liquor store. The selection? Incredible. The non-alcohol section is also very impressive. Sherbrooke Liquor, expert, knowledgeable staff with a passion for unique finds. More than just a liquor store, we're a community. Alberta's best, the one and only Sherbrooke Liquor. Wine, spirits, and oodles of beer. Visit SherbrookeLiquor.com.
At Leading Edge Physiotherapy, healing doesn't have to feel heavy, because in our SwimX aquatic therapy pools, you literally float your way to recovery. Whether you're dealing with arthritis, back pain, joint injuries, post-surgical rehab, chronic pain, balance issues, mobility challenges, or just feeling a little creaky, warm water and gentle resistance have your back, your knees, and your hips. Trusted by pro sports teams and rehab hospitals, our SwimX pools help you move sooner, hurt less, and recover faster. So take the load off. Let the water do the work. Life shouldn't hurt. LeadingEdgePhysio.com.
Diamond Rides is one of Alberta's premier specialty charter companies. With our luxury motor coaches, we provide our customers with the safest and most reliable ground transportation services. Our seatbelt equipped, top-of-the-line motor coaches have become the preferred carrier for many local sports teams, tours, corporate outings, and other various travel needs across Western Canada. For more information and to request a quote, contact sales at 877-748-0991 or visit silentrides.ca.
This is Andrew Walker, host of the postgame show on Sports 1440. After every hockey game this season, tune in and chime in as we talk about the game. It's all sponsored by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Don't get left in the cold. Visit legacyheating.ca.
For over 60 years, the folks at Diablo Boots have been selling the best Canadian-made boots. Handcrafted in Winnipeg, Canada West makes the best quality cowboy, biker, and work boots for Diablo Boots with replaceable soles and heels. Why buy cheaper quality like Ariat, Justin, and Red Wing made in China when Canadian-made is better? Support Canada's workers and Diablo Boots for the best boots. So save on boots by Save On Foods. That's Diablo Boots, 3340 Gateway Boulevard on the east side of Save On Foods. Canada West and Diablo Boots, the two best names in the boots business.
Does your bank do local? We do. When you bank with Vision Credit Union, you're banking with a rural Albertan cooperative that cares about the community where you live. There's no question. We actively support our rural communities at the local level through charitable donations, volunteerism, local team and event sponsorships, and by returning millions in profit shares to our members every year. Does your bank do that? We do local. Bank with Vision Credit Union. VisionCU.ca.
Here's the Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
It's Sports 1440 coverage of the trade deadline, brought to you by Booster Juice. Trade in that hunger for great tasting wraps and paninis and acai bowls at Booster Juice today. Good data. Learn a new word, Jason. I think that this has been, you always worry when you go into a trade deadline that there's not enough activity. And for the Oilers, there wasn't a lot, but we kind of knew that it was going to be, or possibly a quiet day. There's been enough activity throughout the day, and it didn't all land right at the end. You asked earlier about, Jason, who the winners were. And we talked about Edmonton. We talked about Anaheim with Carlson. We may not have all the deals yet. But in the West, taking in the entire week, Dallas.
Yeah, I have Dallas right below Edmonton.
Right. Yeah.
If you want to put Dallas in the top 3, I think Minnesota's probably Minnesota. They changed. They made the most moves, right? They changed a lot of their bottom 6.
And I like Brink because he's smaller, but he's skilled, and they gave up a guy they were giving up on.
Yeah. Juracek is, we heard from our guest earlier in the hour. David Juracek's going to have to look in the mirror here. You can't just keep blaming all the coaches and everybody else. At some point, you have to look in the mirror and be like, hey, I got to be better. But like Edmonton filled the third line center role and the second pair right defense role. Like those are 2 massive important roles on your team.
Yeah.
And now it's going to take them some time maybe to fit in, but they're roles that are important to your team defensively. And that's the Oilers' biggest weakness. It's defense of zone coverage by all the forwards and the defense and the goaltending, right? Yeah. It's everybody combined right now that has to improve. So you bring in 2 guys that take pride in that end. The Oilers' offense will take care of itself. I'm not worried about people. The Oilers need another score. What the hell are you talking about? They've led the NHL in goals since November 10th. What do you mean they need more offense? They don't need more offense. They're giving up goals, okay, at a ridiculous rate. That's number 1 priority, number 2 priority, number 3 priority, number 4 priority, number 5 priority. All the priorities on the Oilers are connected to reducing goals against, and they added 2 guys who should do that. Now, I'm not expecting much from a rookie Doc for this year. That's a trade that maybe helps you down the road. And, he'll probably bring a little emotion. Definitely something this team lacks too. So, that could be a smaller end help, but I'm focusing more on Dickinson and Murphy as those guys should really help the areas of weakness on the Oilers.
Also, I think that Stan Bowman, over the time that he's been here, they've been pretty good at signing players who I'm not saying they're superstars, but they have more potential. Quinn Hudson coming out of college, Damian Carfagna coming out of college, the European kids led by Szymanski, but there are some others as well, Marhala. And so, look, I'll be honest with you. I know about Doc because of the last name. I've seen the numbers. I know what they are. I know he's a big guy. Everybody says he's not a burner, but his NHL edge straightaway speed isn't bad. So we'll see. We have to see him as he develops. And I'm not suggesting this is the Sather era where he would pull some guy out of Finland and he'd end up being Jari Kurri. But I am saying that during a period of time where, like a few years ago when Ken Holland didn't sign a lot of top college guys, and when he was bringing in a player from Europe, it was more like David Tomasek, Gaetan Haas, those kinds of guys. The potential is there for the players that Bowman signed out of Europe and college a year ago. And I see Doc as being somewhat similar. They like him. They're going to have a look at him. There are no guarantees, but they didn't pay a high price for him either. And they can option him and call up Szymanski or whomever if it doesn't work out. And what I like is all 3 players address areas of weakness. The third line really needs help. It really does. They're getting outscored. They're scoring like 37% of the goals. The third and fourth lines are. They need help on the penalty kill. They need somebody with calm feet. One thing about the defense now, they've got at least one guy out there who can go out and just calm everybody down. And, he's not the fastest guy, but he's got a great wingspan. He can penalty kill, and he's a punishing hitter. And he'll, let him know that he's there, sort of thing. I think they needed that, and I think they got it from a veteran.
I like the Islanders when they announced the Braden Shen acquisition. Like, hey, they get Braden Shen. But then just after 1:00, they announced that they've re-signed Jean-Gabriel Pajot to a 3-year extension at $4.85 million. So you have wild. Braden Shen at 6.5, unless there's some retention there. I haven't seen that if there is or not.
No.
And Pajot is at 4.85. They're both third line centers. Yeah. Well, what am I missing here? Like that's just the one thing where I'm kind of like, that to me, like, I like the Islanders. I'm like, they go for it. I think it'll help them this year. And I get, hey, the cap's going up. And so maybe they're like, hey, whatever. Our cap's going up. We don't care. But because you've got Bo Horvat, you got Matt Barzal, and you got Pajot, and you got Cizikas, and you got Shen. So obviously somebody's playing the wing.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. We're just about done. And I wanted to ask you, do you anticipate next year at the deadline, the Oilers making sure that they have enough room to wheel? By that, I mean they don't have too many no movement clauses, that they have to move one of them. Like they'll have enough cash that they could offload a player who doesn't have a no movement clause, and they'll have enough cap room to not have to worry about that. Because I do think it hamstrung a little bit this year because they didn't have a lot of room to wheel.
Well, you look, so the cap's going up, another $9 million.
Yeah.
Right. So if you look at the Oilers, UFAs, Adam Henrique, don't think he's coming back. Jason Dickinson, Jack Roslovic, Kasperi Kapanen. Those are probably three guys you'd like to sign.
Sure. Yeah.
For different reasons. And, I'll be curious about Roslovic. You got to remember, Roslovic was a free agent all summer. No one signed him. And then Edmonton got him for 1.5. So, what's he think he's going to get? Kasperi Kapanen, he's coming off 1.3 mil. He's had a really banged up season. That could actually play into the favor of the Edmonton.
Yeah,
he's got no stats to really command anything. But those are guys you'd like. Then you got Connor Murphy on the back end.
Mm-hmm.
And because they don't have any other right D, I look at Connor Murphy on a 2-year deal. Sign me up.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and they can play him second, third pair, penalty kill. He's like a better Desharnais, right? Like and he's a veteran.
Yeah, and none of those guys are like big tickets. So when you look at the Oilers right now today, I think amongst their forwards tied up, they've got 47 mil, then 32, so that's 79. And in goal, they got 5.3, so they're at 84.3. There's still Jack Campbell in the minors for another year, brutal. So, that adds another 2.6, but that's it. Yeah. So they've actually got significant amount of cap room. I don't think Edmonton's going to be spending to the cap in the summertime.
No.
I think Edmonton's going to be $3 or $4 million out of the cap when the season begins next year.
Which is great because then the deadline comes and you can actually do something without having to, throw in a first rounder or whatever the case may be. All right. Our deadline coverage continues with Jason Krueger. You have the usual lineup, or you got a few extras in there today?
I think we'll have a few extras. We're going to go to Carolina because now we switch, Al. And now it's about the final quarter of the season. We're going to go to Buffalo, though. The Sabres made some significant moves. Shane Willis will join us, of course, Edmontonian guy who covers the Hurricanes. Craig Button, Spec, Wanya Gretz. So we got lots of hockey talk for sure, but some on the trades, but lots on the orders. And now we can look and say, who do you like? Who improved the most? Because this is interesting about this year's trade deadline. There wasn't as many moves as you expected.
Yeah.
And so some teams who you maybe didn't think would have improved, suddenly you're like, oh, maybe they've improved.
Yeah, beautiful. All right. Thanks for tuning in and stay tuned for Jason Krueger. Please enjoy your weekend.
Brought to you by Sean Cunningham of Remax Real Estate. Get the home team advantage for your next move in the Edmonton area. If you're thinking about buying or selling a home, call or text Sean directly at 780-265-0165. That's 780-265-0165. NHL trade deadline has come and gone. Notable trades on the day include Ryan Strome traded to the Calgary Flames with a 2027 7th-round pick going back in that one. Bobby McMahon traded to the Seattle Kraken for a 2027 third and a 2026 fourth. Scott Lawton also traded from the Maple Leafs to the Kings for a to-be-decided third-round pick. Justin Falk has been traded to Detroit. Justin Hall on a TBD first and third to St. Louis. Braden Shen to the New York Islanders. Colorado's 2026 first, a third, Jonathan Drouin and Marcus Giloff going back to St. Louis. The Islanders have also extended Jean-Gabriel Pageau on a 3-year deal with an AAV of $4.85 million. Elmer Soderblom to Pittsburgh on a 2026 third going back to Detroit. Timothy Liljegren to Washington from San Jose. Details still emerging on that one. Nick Delorier to the Hurricanes with a 7th going back to Philly, and Corey Perry to Tampa with a 2028 second back to the Kings. In case you missed it late last night, John Carlson he was traded for a conditional 2026 first and a 2027 third. The Edmonton Oilers are, of course, in action as they take on the Carolina Hurricanes. 7 p.m. puck drop for that one. The day's action will get going with Florida and Detroit at 5. And in the NBA, Jason Tatum making his return to the NBA 10 months after tearing his Achilles as the Mavericks take on the Celtics at 5. I'm Declan Krueger. Up next is the Jason Krueger Show with Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.